How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show host, Arstill.
Norian.
And Volacel, and just me without my lungs, apparently, since I just coughed them up then.
Delicious.
We're here to bring you the latest news. Sorry. The lungs and throat are just not behaving themselves. We're here to bring the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week.
Yes.
As you can hear, I'm still recovering from my various ailments over the past couple of weeks, and it has progressed to the point where the only thing that's really agitating me now is my lungs, which keep trying to crawl out of my body, and I am doing my best to keep them inside.
Yes. So while he's dying, if you want to send us an email, you can do so at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. Also, join our Discord by clicking on the link under the show that you're watching right now.
Yep.
So, on the stream today, at least for the first half of the game, of the show anyway, we're going to be playing a bit of the Monster Hunter Sunbreak demo. We are going to be very, very bad at it because we're both out of practice and horribly multitasking.
Yep.
Yes,
I'm not with them
indeed.
because I didn't download it ahead of time. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to try and download something with my internet while we're doing the show.
Yep. And unfortunately, for arbitrary reasons, they've put a timer on the prep. The room's up for you, by the way, Vol.
I know, I'm just waiting for you.
There you are. So, yeah, I don't know why they've done that on a private room. I guess I can understand it for a pickup group, but yeah.
Well, they probably haven't switched on the servers yet.
Yeah.
So they probably are just don't want to allocate too much time to a huge number of idle sessions.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't really know what it looks like from the provider's end, but it may well be that that in a game like this, there are an awful amount of storage space in the servers is wasted on basically idle sessions that people aren't participating in because they just set them up and left them open.
Yeah. Alright, so we've done Greater Zuchi before the show just to make sure that things would kind of work. That was bad.
It wasn't too bad. You just carted against Azuchi.
I carded against Azuchi, and there is absolutely all the shame in that. So we're doing Tetronodon now, who is the chonky boy Kappa thing.
He's the fattest Kappa ever.
He is the chonkiest Kappa. And I am going to go Super Doggo drifting. Bye! So yeah,
I can't remember how to do that.
So they've still got some of the things I really don't particularly care for, which like the little burbs.
Yeah, well, I mean, they weren't going to get rid of that. That's too core to the way the game is balanced.
Yeah,
But they did say that they're going to consider the rampage as a already done with mechanic.
they kind of tied strongly into the story of Rise anyway. So if they declare, say, yeah, the rampages are over now that Na was dealt with, it's like, yeah, okay, ooh, gold wire bug. These are a new mechanic. It's you get alternate wire bugs which give you different effects on your riding.
Yeah, so the Ruby one I tried earlier improved the damage that I did.
Yeah, I missed what the prompt for gold was, so.
Yeah, so did I.
Ah, chunky boy.
Because it's a demo, we get 9 carts.
We get 9 carts, but it's also balanced in a very strange way, so. Like, I'm wearing Astalos armor here. This thing should not hit me that hard in Astalos armor.
I'm pretty sure I'm wearing Melzino armor.
Yeah, I think you are wearing Melzino armor. Or one of them, anyway. I think there's like 3 of them they've showed so far now. 2 of which are available for special stuff. Including the Amiibo one, which is just straight up Dracula. As in Castlevania Dracula. Boop, 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 boop. So I do like the ability to change your Silkbind abilities in mid-flight. Especially for something like Hunting Horn, where you've got the elemental or the echoing pearl or whatever it was called.
Okay, I just managed to get the Hysteria skill off, and it basically guarding with the great sword is actually a viable thing if you can do it with Hysteria instead. Because I took very little damage relative to what I expected.
All right. So that's
Actually, doing it, on the other hand, is kind of difficult because you need to have 2 wire bugs up and time it right.
Yeah.
But it is a great sword. You expect things to be very slow.
Sounds like something that the longsword has, honestly.
Well, it doesn't counter and then do damage, but apparently you can keep your place in your combo if you do it correctly.
What on earth did I just do there? Okay, that's apparently one of the new ones for the Switch Axe. I have no idea what it did, but apparently it fell over, so... So yeah, we've still got a couple of weeks before Sunbreak comes out. But, yeah, it's looking alright so far. They haven't made a mess of it.
Wow, how generous of you.
Come on, especially even after this last E3, my expectations for what a release-ready game is rock bottom now.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you for that.
Yeah. I'm also still bad at Monster Hunter. So, yeah, the E3 stuff continued to happen over the week. I think there was another PC gaming show and the Microsoft Bethesda one, which... it wasn't all bad, actually. The Microsoft Bethesda one actually did have some good, interesting stuff in it. Yeah, after the damp squib that was the rest of the show, at least there's having anything at all of notes a step up.
Yeah, this has been a incredibly underwhelming announcement season.
Yeah. No, you did not help, Jeff Keighley. Whoops, that's the wrong button. How am I supposed to doggo drift when I'm flying? I also forgot how to get down there. There we go. Alright. We shall dive straight into Rex, I guess. And that's going to be interesting while doing this. So this is one of the things I wanted to do this week, was actually try out this demo. So you're getting this live.
Yeah, we haven't exactly done a lot of warming up for this.
Yeah. Both live
I always
and bad.
Underestimate how much range Tetranodon has on his big stomp.
He does, doesn't he? This is also Master Rank Tetranodon too.
The reason I carted there is that I expected to get knocked back, but apparently there's super armor on that now.
I got hugged.
Like, one of the things, I know it's bad practice, but I sort of rely on getting hit when I know I can take a hit for dodging. So, oh, well, I'm about to get hit, but I'll just soak this rather than do something strange because I know that I'll be able to recover easier from the position I end up at after getting hit. But I didn't get hit. I didn't get knocked back. So, he just turned around and carded me. Because I was expecting that I would be knocked back, and I wasn't.
And I just got squished by the tummy.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I have mixed feelings about with Greatsword and Rise, is that you have a lot of super armor. You can just tank through a lot of things that you formerly couldn't.
Yeah, World was very punishing for someone who was risky with Greatsword. Like, you couldn't tank a whole lot at all. It just felt, in a lot of cases, actually, stuff in World hit a lot harder than the stuff in Rise does. Or did, actually, now that we're playing through this demo.
You get love tapped by anything from high rank up, inappropriate armor in World, and you're popping a Mega Potion. You're popping a Mega Potion is what you're doing.
Yeah. Whereas this stuff is actually hitting us like an absolute truck. So, that's interesting.
I'm wearing Elder Dragon armor, no less.
Yes.
Is it a Master Rank demo?
Well, it's Sunbreak, so everything is going to be up a notch.
Yeah,
okay.
I get the feeling actually we're fighting Master Rank Tetranodon, but we're wearing standard rank armor.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
I hope it's not true.
Well, it doesn't let you go into the gear. So
yeah, but the thing is, if that's the case, then they haven't actually upped the damage all that much.
Yeah, so I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just wonky ammo balancing. Which is probably why they don't let you look at the armor sets, because the armor that we got will not reflect what it actually is at launch.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they want the theory crafters to get too out over their skis.
Yeah.
Because they will pass judgment immediately based on the demo numbers if they get them.
Yes. So it's probably best just to keep that out of their hands. Besides, at the end of this demo, we fight Malzeno, and if you remember...
Oh, it's sure to go well.
Yeah, things like Demo no Gigante was a thing.
Demo no Gigante was special.
Very special. As was Demo Velcana, come to think of it.
I didn't actually play the demo. I don't think.
Demo Velcana was just a cheater. Alright. So, weeks. I kept up with the couple of anime that I've been watching. Your Boy Komi ended this week. Didn't do anything out of the ordinary, nothing unexpected, but it was nice and wholesome, and it came to a happy end for everyone.
So does Kongming get to go home, or
nope?
Like I don't know how that works.
He gets to see the ghost of Liu Bei smile again. Which
that seems an underwhelming happy ending.
He's happy with it, and yeah, there's no Sima Yi, so we get if there's a season 2, maybe we'll get to see that contest play out, but I don't think there's going to be a season 2.
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly unpredictable what things get additional seasons and what things don't. I'm not quite sure which particular commercial concerns drive such things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the West, the only thing that determines whether or not something gets another season is, like, how woke it is, basically.
Yeah.
That's why things like Batwoman get tons of additional seasons, even though nobody watches them.
Yeah, didn't that get cancelled?
It did eventually, but only after they put it through, like, several seasons worth of nobody watching it.
That was a new one. I don't know what I just did there. Did they change how the elemental burst works? Whoops.
I'm glad we have 9 cards.
Yeah. Doing the show while playing Monster Hunter is not a good idea. I know I should be getting food buffs before I go out, but
Goldwire bug. Wyvern. Come on, let me stand near it.
No.
Wow, I don't think I've seen that move. Wyvern riding drop rate up. Goldwire bugs lead to more drops when Wyvern riding.
Ooh.
Oh, it's going to be exploited.
It's going to be exploited.
That's going to be the main farming method.
You get your golden ones and then start bonking monsters on the head. Yeah, so your boy Komi, it's worth a watch. It's just nice, fun, wholesome. But yeah, it doesn't do anything you wouldn't expect it to.
Boy, come back, you fat bastard.
No. The other anime I've been keeping up with is I'm Quitting Heroing, which it's still got 1 episode to go, but it's shaping up like it's just going to be a clean-up episode.
The last episode I saw was very Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time doing power auras.
Oh, that's okay. The latest episode is all flashbacks.
While doing power auras.
But, yeah, like, that's a show that doesn't really have a whole lot of room for a second season now, because the story is going to be decidedly over.
They could just invent one. It's a light novel, after all. Light novels very rarely end quickly.
This is true. What the anime has actually given us is probably, a dozen or a couple of volumes of the light novel all compressed down to a 12 core anime. I have a sneaking suspicion the light novel was a lot longer than it currently, the anime is. But yeah, that's been a fun ride. I enjoyed the twist that came in it. I just saw a random flying ball.
I'm stunned. I'm gonna die. Whoa.
No, not the beams.
What is in the southwest slot on the radial?
Detailed map. Oh, why is that on the hotbar? Okay, yeah, I can understand having the detailed map being a bit more.
I said southwest, not southeast.
Oh, southeast. Sorry.
It's the southwest. I don't
that's
know what
Mega
it
Potion.
Is it though?
Yeah, apparently.
Because I've got Mega Potions. No, I've got Mega Potions selected on my strip.
Okay. But it's Mega Potion with some new icon next to it.
It's like a bowl of soup.
Looks like a bowl of soup, yeah. This Tetranodon is excessively angry.
He's very energetic compared to what I normally expect from a Tetranodon.
Usually, half the time, like you fight him, he just kind of sits there.
Like this guy, he's been up tempo to the point where this is more like fighting a Zenogre.
Yeah. What did we do to this thing? Made him very, very cross. Alright. The third anime I've been keeping up with is, of course, Don't Hurt Me, My Healer, or My Healer is a Pain in the Ass. Yeah. Oh, come on.
I feel so bad for Elvin.
He really does cop the raw end of pretty much everything. Actually, can we get food buffs? No, we cannot. But yeah, it's the latest episode. They've picked up a couple more hangers on, so that's fun. At least the mushroom tends to talk sense occasionally.
When he isn't like getting lost because he went to chase a butterfly.
Yeah. But honestly, I can't really talk too much about that one without spoiling ruining it really, because it's just something you got to see to believe. What is Carla? What is her deal?
I think she's adorable.
I think she's abominable. Both are true. Whoop. Doggo drifting. No. Doggo seems to be just can't decide whether he wants to chase the camera or not. So yeah, 3 good anime. I had a flick through what the next season's offering is, and it's pretty abysmal, honestly.
I haven't looked at it yet. It's too disheartening.
It's all trash isekai.
Why does it have to be like this?
Yeah. It's apparently trash isekai continues to sell. There is one in there which does have an interesting premise, which is an isekai hero who's gone off, he's done the isekai hero thing, and then he's come back. And now his family has to deal with his nonsense. Also, he's no longer a teenager, edgy teenager. He's a full-grown, slightly creepy man. So I might check that one out. I don't know what the actual name of it is, though. But yeah, it's like every other title. You go down the My Anime list thing, and every other anime has isekai in the name at this point.
Yeah, well, we're in the meta phase, you see.
Yeah. Just because you're being meta about it doesn't mean it's not cringe. Yeah. Did somebody just crap in this Tetranodon's cornflakes this morning? Because, good grief.
Well, you can't quite no-sell things with the block, but you can get very close.
Nice.
Like, a skilled greatsword user is going to be a nightmare with this. Because you'll just be able to stand in a monster's face and block its nastiest abilities. I'm sure there are some that will go straight through it, but
Yeah.
like I was able to take like maybe 2% of my bar and damage from getting hit by one of those rocks.
Okay. Yeah, elemental discharge for the Great Axe. They seem to have completely changed it, and now I don't know what to do. Alright, the only other thing I really did for my week this week was I played a good chunk of V Rising. The vampire not ARPG, as everyone seems to keep calling it. It's actually a survival game where you is vampire. The combat is a very basic ARPG type thing. It's everything's done isometrically, so you kind of have a very, very bare bones ARPG system. You get to socket your spells and things like that, so you can customize as you like. But by and large, the whole game rotation revolves around creating new gear, gathering power, then going off and beating the next boss, which will give you new technologies and new spells. The map is actually fairly big, and apparently it's early access, so it may get bigger yet. But yeah, you're going to spend a good chunk of the time in the bottom half of the map, the south half, because that's where you build your castle, which is a whole thing all on its own. You build your castle, it gives you access to new everythings. The north half of the map is where the peasants are. And you're going to want to eat them peasants. So yeah.
Peasants.
Peasants. Yeah.
That sounds unhygienic, to be honest.
Yes, but they are useful if you can get a good one. So there's no actual classes as such. Instead, your abilities determine on both your spell layout as well as who you've eaten recently. So if you've eaten a warrior, you'll end up with a set of buffs that will be related to that. I'm just going to... Oh, hang on, I've got a monster. I'm just going to turn him, and we're going this way. Bonk.
Bonk. One bonk, that's the best you can do?
I could have given him multiple bonks, but... meh. So yeah, it's... V Rising, I'm quite enjoying it, but it's not a game for everyone, and it's definitely, if someone goes in looking for a vampire-themed ARPG, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because it's not that sort of game.
Well, what about it do you think caused it to generate so much hype?
I don't know. I think it's kind of the same, similar vein that Valheim did, where it's just everyone kind of got their friends together and they've gone in and had a good time with it. Like, there's plenty to do. Like, there's... I don't think I've even actually seen the full extent of the boss list. I've done about 20 bosses myself. The very first boss you fight is an alpha wolf, which gives you a wolf form. That's your travel form for a good portion of the game. But that will open up basically the things you need to go after the next boss, which, yeah. Things are a bit more freeform than that. There's a good cluster of bosses. If they're at roughly the same level, you can go and do them in whatever order you feel like. There. The map is pretty big and it will support several clans on there as well. So yeah, if you've got a bunch of mates, you can just go in and eat peasants all day together. I know it is marked as early access at this point, but aside from a few bugs and balancing issues, which they seem to be hammering out fairly quickly, I'm not sure where the content line actually stops. They may have actually for all I know, has gotten it to be fairly feature complete, and they're just using this as bug testing. Alright, let's set up this lobby again. So yeah, that is about it for me. I haven't even played much Final Fantasy this week.
Alrighty.
Alright. Our next boss is Astalos. He is a glowy, edgy boy. What's it? I'm just going to send the codes to Vol.
When you said glowy, edgy boy, the only thing I could think of was the feds.
Yeah, not that kind of glowy. I'm going to go Hunting Horn, and I don't even know what this armor is. Is that Barroth armor? I think it's Barroth armor.
No, it's the new Frankenstein monster.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that now. As for what the Hunting Horn is, it looks like a slab of wall with a treasure chest stuck in the top of it.
Man, I forgot just how defined the numbers are with that hard outline in Rise, because I was playing World.
Yep.
I'm watching you guys play, and the numbers y'all put up on the monsters just have that big clear outline that shows very definitely what the number is.
Yeah.
Well, it's better if I stick to Great Sword, because otherwise I'm just going to die over and over again.
Yeah. I can do my honks and I can do my bonks.
Especially unfamiliar monster. So I have never fought an Astalos before.
I have not properly fought it either, actually. It was late game in Generations, I believe. All I know is him sappy and him ridiculously quick. But also on the beach. This is the new map.
Do you think that they will put the Fated 4 Astalos in the game?
Maybe.
I never did get him in Monster Hunter Stories.
Yeah. I got regular Astalos and used him for a while. But never the special Astalos. But yeah, this is the new map. It's a jungle map. But we're also, like, on the beach. With a Ludroth.
But they've shown tons of snowy stuff as well that look like parts of a new map, and
yeah,
I don't know. I guess people have not been sure exactly how many maps there are or how they're constructed, because it seems like they've shown too many different biomes.
Yeah, and this isn't another case of like the Guiding Lands or anything. I hope it might be there's another map they'll add on later, or they'll extend out the existing maps. I kind of hope the latter. Yeah, this map originated in Monster Hunter 2, I believe. Yeah, not all the maps in Rise are original. Whoops. Like the swamp map was actually out of 3, and half of it used to be underwater. Also, it had Goobles in it. You don't want Goobles. Goobles are bad. Oh, you found out.
Is that a Velociprey?
I think in the trailer they showed Genprey, so probably. Not sure why you'd want to add the praise in. They kind of suck.
Well, I mean, they put Vespoid in every game.
Yeah,
so,
the Vespoid.
If you want to talk about things that suck.
Yeah. Ooh, sharpness regeneration. That's an interesting song.
Yeah, I've heard that basically if you have a good enough hunting horn player that can keep it up, you just don't ever need to sharpen. You can just go and go and go and go.
Interesting.
What the
Ow.
hell?
It's not exactly hard to keep your... Whoops. Yeah, watch out for those. They just kind of go randomly. Yeah, it's not hard to keep the songs up in Rise, especially compared to previous games where you actually had to stop and honk. But that said, if you do stop and honk like that, you can do quite a bit more. Well, pretty much everything, actually. Yep.
Is he enraged?
I think
He's enraged.
Yeah, he's enraged.
He's not happy. I wonder why he's sparkling with so much green.
Green? No!
Oh my goodness me.
So much for a health potion.
Angie boy.
Where'd he go?
He ran away?
He did.
Bravely ran away.
Oh no, there he is. Yeah, I love that actually. That's a cool new song they've added in there. Bonk? Oh, I missed.
Can you cut his tail off? It looks long enough to be
yes, you can.
And he'll not be able to do that stand on his tail thing anymore, I guess, like that.
Yeah, I really hope he stops doing that. Slide beat! Bonk. Bonk.
Thing is, we have to get his tail off somehow. And unfortunately, you don't have a lot of edged weaponry.
No.
Meaning that you have to rely on me, who can't hit broadest side of barn. Don't roar, you bastard.
Hello. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is actually, yeah, good. It's a good game. Okay, it's a good expansion for a good game, but still.
Oh, he's doing that tail thing again.
The tail again with the tail.
Was his tail was that pointy? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think it was. Although in stories, I think they made it more kind of flared.
I'm dying.
You just got slapped.
Ah!
You say good Vidget game, Fern, but I wonder, thinking to myself, Capcom action games in particular have a particularly Vidget game-ass video game feel.
Yep.
When they do them right. I wonder if it's more of a fact of you're just actually playing video game.
Rather than some horrible story-based nonsense with a crap story.
Yeah, something like that.
Speaking of, people have been throwing a lot of shade at Diablo Immortal's story.
Yeah.
And considering the expectations for story from Diablo are already so low.
Yeah, it's like Diablo's story is there be demon, go kill they ass.
Yeah,
also,
but when the audience who are expecting that are ticked off that the story is bad.
Yeah.
Just how bad is it?
Yeah. There is more lore there for people who really want it, but it all basically boils down to kill they ass. So, yeah. Mind you, we got, might as well just, while we're on the topic, is we got our first look, well, another look at Diablo 4 rather. And people should be hyped for it. People wanted to be hyped for it.
Yeah, but they can't trust that edifice anymore.
And that's it. Everyone who wanted to be hyped about it, says, yeah, okay, the game looks fine, it looks good.
What's the catch?
Yeah.
It's always what's the catch.
Yeah. And it's always the big butt that comes hanging over it.
Everybody's expecting a catch now.
Yeah.
And they did this to themselves.
Especially when they come out with phrases like, it will have its own unique form of monetization. I'm not sure how, because Diablo Immortal uses literally all of them.
Well, if it had a reasonable and fair one, Diablo Immortal doesn't use that.
No, well...
Because I mean, you do have to monetize your game some way.
You do, yeah. And no one
Either-
begrudges them that.
I mean, the minimum monetization is, of course, the box price. That's
Yes.
that's the traditional way.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's begrudging them making money out of their game because you got to make your money somewhere. But there's reason, and there's being
Yeah.
fair,
And then there's Diablo Immortal,
and then
which
there's
is
Diablo
about
Immortal.
trying to give a new generation gambling problems.
Yeah, but no, you can't buy gear. We told you, we said you couldn't buy gear. Don't you guys have phones?
Did you guys have wallets?
And that, I think, is really rubbing people out the wrong way. Like, they swearing up and down, yeah, we always said you couldn't buy gear. Gems are gear. Just because you change the name does not
You
change
slot
the fact.
them into gear. I'm stunned.
Yeah,
Not
so you've
good.
just added one extra step. So, yeah.
This is why I put all anti-stun decorations in my gear all the time.
Because getting stunned is not fun.
I did conclude that Mario Party saves you about maybe 10% of the duration of the stun if you do it hard enough.
Oop.
But that's
Bonk.
also how you get controller drift.
Yeah. Mind you, it's if you're playing on a Switch controller, you're going to get that anyway.
Well, use Pro Controller.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, Silkbone
Oh,
Shockwave. Okay, that does... Did that just give me a damage buff? I think it did. Oh, and there's Beat of Resonance. Okay, cool.
Is it my imagination, or have they significantly reduced the amount of perma buffers that you need to pick up?
I think they have, yes. It might just be for the
Because-
demo, but yeah.
I certainly hope that remains everywhere, because nobody wants to do that tour of the map bullcrap.
Yeah. It's just a whole lot of dead time that you've got to do every freaking time.
Phenomena.
Phenomena. Okay, this is a kind of cool little area. Something bad's gonna happen here, I can already tell you. This is boss fight arena vibes. I also went entirely the wrong way. So, right, where were we? Yeah, Diablo 4 is just... I don't think it's going to do as well as they want it to, because no one trusts them anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the team. Like, it's just like the team in the neighboring office have done something so evil, and you know you can't get out from under it now.
Yeah. Like, I'll even say Diablo 4 does look good. It looks like a Diablo game.
Yeah, like the Diablo formula is not difficult to do if you are approaching it from the perspective of wanting your players to have fun.
Yes.
It's not very complicated. You've just got to take a very simple idea and do it reasonably well. That's all.
The kill they ass, and then, have everything explode into treasure. That's what Diablo is.
You seem to be very fascinated with Diablo ass.
You got to kill them demon ass.
I mean, I guess Diablo did get quite the booty last time.
He did. Diablo was... He had a full-on dump truck going. I'm not sure who the new bad guy is now. Probably doesn't matter. You just go kill him.
Waiting for the bad guy to be Deckard Cain.
Didn't he die?
Oh.
Watch that be Diablo Immortal's story, because I'm not going to sit down and actually try and figure out what that game's story is. But I would not put money on the bet, but I would consider it that Deckard Cain is the bad guy in that one somehow.
Yes. But the problem is, the only way to kill him is to crush him with your wallet.
My wallet ain't that heavy.
No.
I don't think there is a wallet heavy enough. Have you seen the thing about that New Zealand guy who's streaming and trying to find out how much money he needs to put in before he gets a 5-star gem?
Yeah.
I've heard he's up to several tens of thousands of dollars at this point.
I think he crossed the 100,000 line this morning. So, yeah,
But-
like...
I don't know who is funding him, but
Yeah. Stop giving Blizzard money! But, Yeah, like Bellula gave did the very quick and dirty math early on, saying that you need like over 100,000 in order to max out one character. One character. That math, because it was very quick and dirty, it was also very underselling the matter, because people keep finding new ways that the game will want to milk money out of you. So yeah. Anyway, let's not give Diablo Immortal any more credit than it deserves, because it doesn't deserve any.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little more in the week section if y'all know anything else going on with it.
No, that's about it.
We're still in weeks. It's the end of Ferns week.
Yeah, it is. So, Vol, what you been up to?
Trying to keep my lungs inside mostly.
Please stop dying.
It's very hard to do anything of much note when every time you speak or breathe too heavily or drink something or whatever, your lungs try and crawl out of your body. Get that tail! Get it! Get it!
I can bonk it, but it ain't bonking. I really actually wonder how much bonk damage does to tail severing.
I don't know if it does any.
Yeah.
It depends.
Or how much it contributes.
It looked like they gave Bose a wire bug move that has severing damage.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll make getting tails off with the bow a little bit less of a chore.
Yeah, it's a move specifically designed for tail severing. He left.
Can't do this.
You
Feel
go.
so abandoned.
But
But yeah,
let's
so
say-
I can't say that I did very much during the week because just generally when you're sick, it's very hard to motivate yourself to do anything because you're just going to be interrupted by the latest bout of coughing or wheezing or choking or whatever. So I'm basically just waiting for my illness to be over.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to report. Like I played a little bit of Final Fantasy here and there when I had the energy for it, but I didn't do anything of any particular note, I wouldn't say. Get on that bird!
Umbrella. Birdbrella? What is going on? Stop
I don't know,
staring at the
but-
Rathian.
You need to bird harder.
There we go. Looking at the Astalos now.
Please knock that bird over. I mean, that Astalos
Bonk.
over.
Or bonk. That Rathian going to go away anytime soon?
I don't think he's going to go away. I think he's got other ideas.
Dancey dance, bonky bonk.
Good grief. If this tail can come off, it is durable.
Yeah. Ah! I'm on fire. No. Alright. Yeah, that Rathian is just... Oh, is it gone? Did it go? It finally went.
Yes, but the Agneson didn't.
I'm not as worried about Actisom, I suppose. Oh, there you go.
Finally. Ah! I only got half the tail.
Wait, what?
Long, lengthwise.
He can still do the tether thingy. Bonk.
Oh, I did the Hildebrand pose for a minute there.
There's always time for the Hildebrand pose.
Yeah, speaking of, was that this week or last week?
We didn't talk about it last week.
Well, yeah, we didn't talk about Hildebrand, so we might as well talk about that now in lieu of my week. So a bunch of sort of miscellaneous quests came out in the last content patch for Final Fantasy XIV. The next content patch I've heard is going to be announced at the beginning of July, so it's not actually that far away. But yeah, so the major pieces of content quest-wise are New Hildebrand, the beginning of Tataru's quest, and the follow-up quest for Omega, and the quest for Emelians. And I have never seen so many thirsty people.
For
Yeah.
Mama Alphino.
Mama Alphino.
Like, I rolled up into Old Charlian after the servers went up, and everybody was talking in the zone chat about how they wanted to dress her.
I went on the Reddit the day of, and I was very tired when I saw this post because I'd just woken up and was still booting my brain. And I'll post it in live show chat, and it was this guy complaining about how this hero is coming around and dressing his wife up in slutty outfits, and they're a hardcore raider, and how his kids are not wanting to go out and do stuff with him anymore, and they want to go hang out with this raider guy. It took me until about halfway through the post before I realized, oh wait, this is a joke.
Yeah. Whoops. There's a Robon one out there that's been doing the rounds as well, talking about how this Lalafell player insinuated his way in and just kind of cleaned out the guild bank.
Yeah, here you go. But yeah, it was a good read. They got me pretty good early in the morning. Took about half a read through to go, oh wait, this is one of them posts.
Yeah. Don't internet too early in the morning, otherwise you're gonna brain out too badly. Blech.
I hadn't even gotten in the shower yet. I had sat down to wake up.
There's a strange bug formation on the rocks here, by the way.
They shoot blades.
Okay.
There's a bug with glowing red back. It's got a glowing red back that looks like crystals. But there's also bugs that arrange in a circle, and if you bonk a monster into them, it does something.
Okay,
is what I've heard.
I've seen blue ones and I've seen yellow ones now.
The yellow ones, I think, are bonk targets. The red ones shoot blades out of their back.
Okay, I wonder what the blue ones do then. Oh no, Bullfango! Why are you here? Nobody wants you here. Also, you smell bad. Yeah. Is the first part of the Tataru quest in the game already, or is that in the next?
Yeah, but it's a sort of a story thing where you meet up with a lot of the people who were part of the crew that went to the Empire. Because a lot of them didn't really have much perspective on the world until they joined that campaign. So it's sort of like their follow up on how they react to that, and in the aftermath of the final days type of thing. So it and the Omega quest have a lot in common, and they're basically part of the victory lap process post MSQ.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get some insight into how various people are coping with after the end of the world type of situation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an end of arc epilogue series of quests.
Yeah, and it does lay it on a bit thick, but it lays it on a bit thick in a very sort of classically anime way. So they lean pretty heavily into the emotion, but it still works because of the amount of time you spend with all of these characters and in this world, so it doesn't feel too forced. But yeah, the Omega and Tataru storylines are quite effectively done, I feel. I don't know where. Omega has a bit more punch to it in a lot of ways, but I think that's because it's going to be maybe not a one and done, but it's certainly not going to be followed on at length. However, Tataru's definitely is going to carry on at length.
Yep.
So they don't need to, put all of the gunpowder into the first lot.
Yeah. And like Hildebrand, they're going to just release it in chapters.
Yeah. So the reaction of the catch-up crew to their first Hildebrand in real time has been amusing.
Yeah. Because I'm part of this actually because every Hildebrand I've done up till this point, I've been able to sit down and do it all in one hit. Which
Yeah.
is
Well.
it's sensory overload, honestly. Speaking of bad ideas, this is Malzeno.
Let's see.
We're going to fight Dracula Dragon.
We only have 3 carts.
We only have 3 carts. We're going to fail this horribly, aren't we?
Yes, in record time, no less.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way they've done all the demos. Is the big monster at the end is always just absurd.
So I have mixed feelings about Hildebrand, not because I disliked it in any way, but I do feel like it might have been nice to see a little bit more of Adventures of Hildebrand in the first.
Yeah, it's like you've got that silliness with the Forsaken Gentleman, and then that's it.
Yeah, and if it was one character that had to spend time with Hildebrand from the first, I'm glad it was Becklug. But
poor Becklug.
because of all of the personalities in the game, that one clashes with Hildebrand the most.
Yeah.
But
just a complete no-nonsense, down-to-earth character.
but,
Not willing to put up with anyone's crap.
And there's some classic lines in there that I really enjoyed as well. But
Actually,
yeah,
I'll bring Cat.
It gets increasingly silly the further along it gets. So it's definitely purebred Hildebrand. But a lot of people had their first taste of what it's like to get to the end of a chapter of Hildebrand and to know that there's another couple of updates before they're going to see him again.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this time it's like the Warrior of Light's kind of finished their Hildebrand evolution. You're an active participant in the silliness now.
Yeah, you've adopted the role of Mashu when Mashu is not there.
Yeah.
And that was the best part of this whole quest chain was near the start when you're in the first and Mashu can't come with you, so you have to do the things that Mashu or not. Why am I saying Mashu? Nashu normally does.
Somewhere between Mash and Nash.
character.
Nashu, yes.
But, I disagree. I think that you are in fact now sillier than Nashu.
Yes. After
Because
the whole
we
volleyball thing.
Yeah, and we have also never seen Nashu like in story context perform the Mandeville. Whereas now we have seen the Warrior of Light perform the Mandeville with
24 hours straight.
With zero context and without any kind of support or understanding from anybody around them.
Yeah.
Completely in isolation, not once but many times. Like you're basically an honorary Mandeville at this point.
Yes.
And with all that entails.
Like you go through the evolution basically. It's like the first one, the Warrior of Light is hapless victim. You're as much of a victim of Hildebrand as everyone around him. The second one, you're traveling along because it's happening to someone else and you get to enjoy it. Good Lord, what is that? It's got a railgun.
But I mean, by the end of the third one, it's like it ends with Bollywood dancing involving you.
Yeah.
Which basically sort of tells you what your role is now. You're part of the cast.
Yeah, whether you want to be or not.
By the end of this one, Hildebrand is going to be your victim.
I have a sneaking suspicion that might be where it ends up. Okay, that happens.
Can you not? Can you not? That was my whole health bar.
Yeah, I just got smushed.
He just poked me with the tip of his tail and my entire health bar went red.
Oh, this was a bad idea. Oh, jeez, what have we done?
Blood blight. That doesn't sound healthy.
No, that's a new one. But, you know, vampire, so vampire dragon. I bought the cat because I thought it might help a bit more than the dog.
Did it?
No, we kind of got squished too quick. Oh, that is just rude. Ah,
That is
okay.
just- Get some health back, my dude.
Oh, okay. They're telling us what Blood Blight does. Saps your health and lessens your attack, but it gives you lifesteal.
Yes, but how do you get rid of it? Oh my goodness. How dare you?
You need to keep attacking. It's
Just
the
keep
same
your
as
health up.
yeah, it's the same as Gore Magala. You need to keep attacking before you explode.
I've seen a lot of people talking about Gore Magala lately.
Yeah, because I'm just going to spoil it because I didn't get a choice in it. Gore Magala's in Sunbreak.
Yeah, he is the most requested returning monster that I've seen since I started playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Like people have asked for Gore Magala to come back more than any other monster. What is he going to do? Is he just going to leave, or is he coming back in a loud way?
No, he's
I think
leaving.
we didn't do any damage though.
Got bored.
we just got completely bent over.
He just got bored of our antics and decided to go home. So yeah, Gore Magala had the really strong story thread going in 4. It also basically turns into Dragon Jesus. Are those bats?
Are we talking like Thrall, or are we talking like what's his name? That actor that played the Joker in that Joker movie nobody talks about.
Probably closer to Thrall. With a good
Jared Leto. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he thinks he's Jesus.
he does.
He has a cult.
Wait, it only gives us 15 minutes?
We're supposed to be a challenge quest. You've got to be actually good.
I got smushed.
We're not.
We are bad.
The other demos all had the 15-minute timer too, didn't they? Or 20
Yeah,
minute timer?
yeah, they did. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do this. Do you want to try it again once more, or until we get to the break?
I just want to see more of what he does. So
Yeah. So he's Vampity. He's got the little bats, which he turns into a railgun. Oh wait, we could have done that every time. See, Capcom, this is why you need to make your descriptions clear. I'm just going to go with the doggo this time because maybe DPS might be the better way to go.
I don't have a good grasp of how much DPS doggos actually contribute.
More than the cat.
Well, the cat's mainly a supporting tool.
Exactly.
But, people who are good at Rise don't ever take the doggo for any reason. Not because they don't need the DPS, but because if you're good with the wire bugs, you can just fly. So you don't need to be able to move quickly ever.
Yeah. Super Doggo drifting again. It's like Mario Kart. You drift to get a boost. It makes absolutely no sense in physics or reality, but who cares?
Okay, no, I still need to get 1,000,000 wire bugs.
Yeah.
I guess there must have just been a pedalace with very low capacity for certain things.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the tight timeline, we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to go burb hunting. Oh, I'm going to get smushed. There.
I wanted to at least grab a couple boots. You've got the spooge icon.
I got the I do have the spooge. That's alarming. That is also alarming.
Why?
We are not very good at this game.
No, we are in fact exceedingly terrible at this game.
Yes.
Nothing new about that though.
No.
They give me fond memories of us attempting to play Deathwing.
Yeah. Let's not do that again. We embarrass ourselves enough.
I don't know. I had fun still,
I did too.
even though it was terrible and shameful.
I mean, we got into a rhythm at the end.
Yeah, at the very end.
If that game did not have a rotating minimap, I could be convinced to play it pretty easy. And I could just lock the minimap.
I hate rotating minimaps. There's absolutely no need for it.
To add that extra sense of disorientation to everything you do.
Like, I could not navigate anything with a spinning map.
But a
I know.
couple spins.
It's like, oh, we'll just put the map on the table while you're trying to plan a route, and just spin the table around while you're trying to do it.
What the hell just happened there?
Bern, I haven't even gotten to the boss yet, and you already managed to cut twice.
I just got juggled.
I fell down into a cavern and I'm having difficulty getting it because I don't remember how.
You're probably safe down there. Alright. I shall be back, so quickly just fill some time.
Time? Oh, well, it's supposed to be my week, I guess. I don't really have much else to talk about, though, due to my constant illness. But, anime-wise, I don't think that there's really anything much to comment on anime-wise. I don't think anything has really changed. I don't think I've seen any series that really rallied. Although they just did a shorter 10-episode run for what's it called? The Ascendance of a Bookworm, and I was sort of surprised that it ended so abruptly. But I feel like they did a pretty decent job of it. It ended quite solidly, very emotionally, I guess I would say. But yeah, I did enjoy it. It's one of the very few shows in recent seasons that I can just heartily recommend, and I think that it's worth a watch for pretty much everybody. It's just really solid. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. Did shed a few tears at the end. That's just the sort of story it is. Yeah, it's just an exceedingly well done story. Whereas, especially considering it's an isekai, so it's got an awful lot of terrible isekai baggage, like most isekais, and it manages to make good on most of that stuff. So the isekai thing doesn't really ever get in the way, and you sort of forget about it after a while. To be totally honest, it doesn't burden the story. So.
Yeah. Now, that's another thing that annoys me with a lot of isekais too, is it doesn't burden the story in some cases, but it doesn't add to it either.
Well, I think that it does add to it to some extent, I feel, because it adds an extra layer of confusion for the character, the central character, who not only does she not understand her particular circumstances, but she's also on the lowest rung of a society that is very stratified.
Mm-hmm.
And they do put her on the very lowest rung.
Why?
Fern, how could you do this to me? Do you know how long it took me to find that Rathian and get it up here?
I can imagine. So yeah, this guy just hits like a truck. And that's probably enough of this for now.
There's enough shame, enough public shaming.
We've embarrassed ourselves, yes.
But yeah, so Ascendance of a Bookworm, I think it comes highly recommended. It's a very good quality series in terms of writing, and the animation quality isn't like particularly standout, but it does the job. It does emotional very well. It does dramatic very well. It even has a few sort of minor action scenes, although that's not really the point. The twists and turns are all very believable in the sense that they make sense in the story. They're not like, oh, well, this is an obvious ass pull. Generally speaking, the whole thing hangs together very well, and I think it's a great series. So I think a total of 36 episodes from start to finish, divided into 3 seasons.
That's not bad. Ugh, the death.
Dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think the strongest recommend for the season, but it's got an advantage over others because it's building on previous material that I think is extremely high quality. But yeah, I don't really feel like there's much else to talk about this season that was particularly stand out. The Spy Family one is good, but everybody's hyped about that, so I'm not really that interested in promoting it any further. And Shield Hero is Shield Hero. It still feels like a light novel story, no matter what you do with it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was originally a web novel, but they have the same sort of aesthetic, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't really think there's much else to talk about. We're in a hunting quests week for FGO, meaning that there's nothing to do, thank goodness.
Which reminds me, actually, I saw an ad last night. There's apparently an FGO Weiss Wars set now.
It doesn't surprise me since they've got the franchise as part of their system. They don't just have Zero. They've got Zero. They've got Unlimited Blade Works. They have a Heaven's Feel set. They have a Prisma Ilya set, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I wonder, actually. Let me pop it up. Let me see if I can find any info on it while you talk.
Oh, can you not? Can you not keep placing the burden on me to talk more?
More wondering, actually, on this case, while there's two ways they can go with a FGO Weiss Wars deck. They could either go, serious, focus on the story and use characters based on that. Or
learning with manga.
They could go all of the memes.
No. Here's what they're going to do. It's going to be all Christopher Columbus.
That would not surprise me. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Fate Granddaughter, Absolute Demonic Front, Babylonia. That's what they're drawing from.
Okay, so it's just that series.
Yeah.
Which I actually started a rewatch of because I really like it.
Because there's one big reason, or actually two big reasons, why they're marketing on Babylonia.
Well, yes.
Ishtar's size.
You say that, but like I always stop noticing after the second episode. Like the first episode is episode 0, and so that's basically a backstory for what was it like for MASH growing up in Chaldea. And the second episode is the one where they land in Mesopotamia to begin with, and it's all cheesecake. It's all MASH and Ishtar cheesecake.
Yes, it
Which,
is.
I mean, that if you're... They know their demographic.
There's a 20-second shot of looking straight up Ishtar's bum while she flies. I mean, come on.
I don't think it's a 20-second shot. But they know their demographic. You know what you need to do in order to secure those eyes. But after that, I pretty much stopped noticing because to a great extent, after the pilot, well, it wasn't the pilot because the Zero came out first, but after the episode 1, it basically stops. Like there's very little.
Wow.
And like you get to see an awful lot of Leonidas crotch. It's true.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you see it's less cheesecake focused.
He's very proud of his crotch.
There's the effect of like when you're at the beach and you're hanging out with some girls, you just kind of forget they're in swimsuits. It's the same effect with Ishtar.
Incidentally,
that and Ishtar is a complete clown.
Yeah,
her airheadedness wins over. Well, not airheadedness, but just general dumb shittery.
Incidentally, there's a pricing here actually for the Erish Kagal card for $240 for the sign-on.
Well, she is a popular waifu. Probably one of the most popular waifus in FGO.
Yeah.
Because she is all of the dere that Rin has.
Yeah.
And she got the shaft in story, if you think about it, for more than 4 seconds.
That said,
she also has an event completely dedicated to her.
Yeah, the signed Ishtar is sold out, though, so who knows what that actually cost.
And then she immediately gets unsummoned.
Oh, there it is, $127 for the Ishtar. So, does that mean Erish Kagal is literally twice the waifu that Ishtar is?
Probably.
I'd say she probably has twice the fans because, I mean, Ishtar is saddled with, number one, she's a villain in virtually every situation where she appears. Not a competent one, but she is a villain. And Erish Kakal is basically like she's a Mary Sue essentially, but she's a Mary Sue which is designed to appeal directly to a certain type of fan.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just a big old ball of moe fluff.
Oh wow, this is ridiculous. I'm going to play this vampire. It's a mad scientist with flowered hair.
I've been traumatized by vampires just now.
Yeah, vampire dragons.
Yeah, he was not nice to me. He was a lot less nice to you though. You got carded 5 out of the 6 times we carded.
Yeah, he was angry.
But yeah, so I've restarted watching that through because basically the action set pieces are incredible. The series itself has miserable pacing issues. Like there's lots of problems with the way the story is told, but there are no problems with the way the animation is presented. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm going to enjoy it again the 4th time round. Because I have it on Blu-ray now, so I get it in nice quality on my big monitor with my comfortable recliner and my fancy setup that I have now, my surround sound. So, yeah, not that they even do surround sound mixes for anime anymore. They always do 2.0. But since it was originally mastered in 2.0, usually when they actually try and do 5.1 in the localization, it ends up being really weird, and they do all kinds of weird crap to try and make you notice that it's now in 5.1.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that. It's like how 3D used to be early on. They go out of their way, and it was just horrible.
Yeah, but I do have some other Blu-rays that are supposedly coming, but they're coming by OzPost, and they've been coming by OzPost for like 6 weeks now, so I have no idea if they're ever going to arrive or not.
You'll probably never see them. This is another ridiculous haircut. Let's go with that.
Freaking OzPost.
Yeah. Mind you, I had someone, when I got my mouse, they sent it via courier, and it arrived within the week, so...
Well, that's fine, but that's not OzPost.
It's not OzPost.
There have been times, like, before the great COVID excuse... OzPost actually was able to deliver them to me faster than it was able to deliver to Fern.
Yes.
By a number of weeks, not by a day.
Yeah, you're not on the same landmass.
But since COVID has become the excuse for everything in logistics, it takes me several weeks to get something to arrive from down the road. And the last time I ordered something from Australia, it took like 2 months to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
And this one hasn't shown up, and I'm afraid that it won't.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
The condition may be terrible, and there may be as much as a week delay, but one of the benefits of living in the U.S. is we usually get stuff relatively quickly compared to the rest of the world.
How do I put my Switch on standby?
Just
tap the button.
Tap the button.
Tap
what button?
That is.
The power button on top.
Okay. It's behind my monitor. Ugh.
Or you can do it via control by holding down the home button.
Okay, well, let's do that, because I can actually reach the controller. Here we go.
I didn't know you could do
sleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
It comes up with the go to sleep or properly shut down menu.
Right. The other thing that I ended up deciding to do this week was I went through a lot of contortions because I wasn't happy with my chair situation. Now, I quite like my recliner. It's very comfortable and extremely good for being fat in. But you don't always want to be being fat in front of your computer. Sometimes you actually need to be able to reach the keyboard.
Posture is important.
While this chair is great for playing games with a controller, and it's great for loafing around and watching anime and movies, it is actually very bad for playing PC games, and I play FF without a controller. I use the keyboard and mouse. I just prefer it that way, because I'm eternally paranoid about forgetting what button I've assigned things to on the controller, and I do have an MMO mouse I got for this explicit purpose, which I quite enjoy using. So I decided that, okay, so this chair that I'm currently using, while it's great in many respects, in my attempt to actually use it to play PC games, I end up like coiling my lower half up like a lamia, trying to get comfortable. And I usually can get comfortable, but then when I go to uncoil, it is very uncomfortable because everything has seized up. So I decided I'd get another chair, but I didn't know what sort of chair to get, and it was actually extremely hard to find any useful advice online about it. So I went the entire gamut through office chairs and gaming chairs and everything, and the hard sell that you get from premium gaming chair companies is actually pretty persuasive. What turns out not to be persuasive is the fact that it seems like while good gaming chairs apparently seem to exist, whether you get one or not seems to be the flip of a coin. Because for the exact same model and make of chair, you will have, as far as I can tell, equal numbers of people who are very, very happy with it and who are desperately unhappy with it. So it seems that like QC is just not a thing in chair manufacture.
It really doesn't seem to be.
Yep.
Which Ari has ordered so many accessories for his chair lately.
Yeah, it. I got a chair with some busted screw holes for the mechanical screws that come with it that hold the whole thing together, and eventually I just had to get some very strong between blue and red grade thread sealer to get these things to stay in the hole, because they just kept popping out. And everybody says this chair is great, but yep, just been having trouble with it. But hadn't had a problem since I put that on there. These screws aren't moving anymore. I'm kind of worried I'm gonna have to bust a rubber mallet and a socket wrench out to get these things out when I do break down the chair, however many years from now.
You did it too well.
Oh yeah, they ain't moving.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything like a chair that I could actually feasibly get that didn't have a raft of bad reviews. Like every single chair had bad reviews. A lot of them. A lot of them had very good reviews as well. Usually the same chair. So I ran the gamut. I looked at all sorts of different options, and in the end, I just couldn't find anything that was convincing at all. So I basically opted for a middle of the range, sort of cheap-ish office chair, and I decided I'd go for mesh this time to see what mesh was like. Now, I don't tend to suffer from swamp butt because it just doesn't get warm in New Zealand most of the year. Like, we have like 3 days of warm temperatures where it's like, 37 degrees, and the rest of the time it's cold. So I don't really have a problem with sweating too much. However, I was just sort of interested in trying it out, seeing what it's like. So yeah, I went for like the couple of $100 Chinese-made mesh chair. Since it's just an experimental thing, let's see how this works out for me. Because ultimately, if it can keep me in a reasonably passable posture while playing an MMO, that's probably good enough.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was prepared to spend a lot of money for a good chair, but it doesn't seem like you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can spend a lot of money, but there is no good chair option. Even like the one that everybody talks about, and it's basically, I found, a religious cult online, is the Herman Miller chairs, the Herman Miller Aeron and the Herman Miller Embrace. And we're talking like, $1,000, $2,000 US chairs here. Like really, really high-end chairs. Number one, you can't get them in New Zealand. I think they do have a branch in Australia. But you can't get them in New Zealand, as far as I can tell, without paying it for a second-hand one at a ridiculous premium that costs more than a first-hand one would elsewhere. But the people that are online sound a little bit too much like cultists. So it might be a great chair, but I don't trust them. Because they're just ridiculously overzealous, and it's sort of like, it seems to be the done thing to say that they are good. And
Yeah.
I saw a few like people give more critical opinions on it that are like, well, it's definitely good, but it's a chair for a purpose. It's not a chair that's necessarily comfortable. It's a chair that will make you suffer because its actual objective is to correct years of incredibly crappy posture. So it's like sitting on a chiropractor. So yeah, apparently they're really good, but you have to also spend hours tuning them to be just right.
Yeesh.
with all the gajillion knobs that they've got to try and make them ergonomic.
That sounds like
bes-
a lot of work.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of work, plus it's a humongous amount of money. Like, they're basically the most expensive office chairs on the market. And I couldn't find a way to secure one even if I did want to go that route. But that was the only one that was mostly positive. And even that, those types of chairs still had bad reviews from a few people who said, like, yeah, just it wasn't all that it cracked up to be. I feel better about my cheap office chair than I do sitting in this thing. Maybe it's good for me, but I cannot tell that it's good for me because it hurts to sit in or whatever.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot of that. So yeah, in the end, I just went for a Chinese one, and if it doesn't work, I'll try a different one next time, and a different one next time, and generate a huge amount of plastic waste because that's just how I do. But yeah, so that's now being shipped to my workplace because frankly, I don't trust the couriers around here. They seem to take any excuse to not deliver. So yeah, that should arrive next week, all things being on schedule, and then I have to put it together, and then we'll see how it goes. I don't have very high expectations, but I decided to go for a mesh seat one this time because the thing that really grates me about inexpensive office chairs is the seat cushion going flat and it basically ending up feeling like you're sitting on the particle board the seat is made out of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a mesh one, well, once the seat goes, the seat is gone.
Literally, gone.
Yeah, so then I can get another one. I will not wrestle for 6 months with sitting on this rock hard platform before deciding to knuckle down and get a replacement, which is what I did last time.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was just horribly uncomfortable, and it's like, yes, but it's still functionally a seat, so I can't justify getting rid of it. So yeah, now if I have a mesh based one, then that's just not going to be an issue, is it? Because once I'm not meant to sit on it anymore, I just won't be able to sit on it, and there's no cushion to collapse into itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, hopefully that will present a solution of sorts to one of my many neurological issues of being unable to make decisions about things.
I've seen plenty of sheet seats with good cushions, even though a lot of them do wear through, but for me, a lot of the chairs will either fail in the piston or the welds holding it all together.
I've never had the weld failure problem, and I think I've seen a piston fail one time. What usually fails for me is the joints between either the base and the piston or the piston and the seat, and it will just become wobblier and wobblier until it's like you're a monk balancing on a platform at the top of a pole.
Yeah, I've had that. Now, the last really cheap chair I had the weld problem, where it was that the ring that connects the top of the piston to the base, and that all fell apart. So I tend to lean back a lot in my chair when I'm using a controller. So I'm kind of putting a bit of extra force onto that joint, but they're supposed to be designed to take that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this one goes. One thing I've seen that seems to be increasing in popularity is buying these aftermarket rollerblade style wheels to put in place of the casters.
Yeah,
There's apparently
the crap usually.
It's not apparently just that they are crap. They are usually crap because they're plastic casters, and every plastic caster is crap. But apparently, plastic casters tend to ruin carpet.
Oh yes, they do.
I mean, I've never seen that myself before because I just don't move my chair around, even if it's got casters, like ever. But apparently, the rollerblade style wheels are very, very much friendlier to carpet because they're just a single round wheel made out of some form of polymer, as opposed to that sort of dual hard-edged plastic
made out of failure.
Yeah, made out of plastic razor blades, so they both fail at their job and cut up the carpet.
Yeah, they somehow turn yet don't turn at the same time.
Yeah, it's like being mounted on a shopping trolley. But yeah, so yeah, that's my latest expenditure of money for the week. I would kind of like to stop spending money soon, but unfortunately I keep finding things that need money to be thrown at them to solve.
Yeah, this is called life.
Yeah, I don't really like it.
Yeah, it's a yucky feeling.
I want to go back to bed. There seems to be my uniform response to virtually everything that's happened lately is I want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
We're at an hour and a half, by the way. We need to take a break.
We
Okay.
does.
I could do some water, actually.
All right, folks. Here's some music. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
So the last thing I'll say on the chair issue is that there was I'm sure people have heard of it. There's a very highly recommended YouTube video done by Gamers Nexus on the topic of gaming chairs, which I saw recommend from many different quarters as worth watching if you are in the market for a chair and gaming chairs are within the sort of the orbit of your consideration. And from what I can tell, having watched through that video, their conclusion seems to be that virtually all chairs are much of a muchness, so there's not really any reason to seek them out via strategy. The only thing that you can really do is try them out and see if they ruin your back or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's worth a look. It's quite old, I think, probably a few years old. But yeah, they try a whole bunch of different chairs from like bargain basement Amazon few dollars chairs all the way up to the hyper expensive Herman Miller chairs and everything in between, including gaming chairs, which they all seem to be uniformly revolted by, apart from this one guy who appears to just want to sit in them for some reason, the only guy in their office who just likes them.
I guess he likes his butt being cradled.
But it sounds like, since they're essentially a gaming tech show, right? I don't know if you've ever watched Gamers Nexus stuff before. I've watched a few of their videos in the past just out of morbid curiosity, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like, from reading between the lines or listening between the lines of that video, that they basically furnished their entire office with gamer chairs because they were gamers, and they figured that's what you're supposed to do. But eventually they all found that they hated them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, apparently there's like this particular mid-range Amazon mesh office chair or something that they now fight over, which is completely nondescript, but apparently the most comfortable one by general acclaim in the office. But they've tried all of them in that they tried all the different ranges of chairs from in that video. So it's worth a look if you're interested in buying one. No, you won't be given any specific information in the long run by watching it. However, you will get a better feel for the fact that there's not really a right answer.
Which is sometimes the most useful piece of information you can get.
Yeah, so basically, after watching that, I stopped angsting about the specifics and just looked for something that looked reasonably practical to try out. I mean, ideally, you would just want to go and sit in a whole bunch of chairs, but that's not really practical in, like, where I am. Like, there's no big office supply store that I can go and sit in chairs in, except for Warehouse Stationery, and Warehouse Stationery is like... everything there is big box quality except with the extra charge because it's a stationery specific store.
Oh, yeah. Overly familiar with that with Officeworks.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know, like, the Americans, I think it's Americans, said that, oh no, just go down to Staples. And I'm like, I don't know what Staples is, it sounds like an office supply store.
That sells staples.
Yeah, it has office supplies and office chairs.
Yeah, so that seemed to be the American consensus, was that if you actually want a chair to use at your computer, just go to Staples and put your butt in them until you find one that's good.
Yeah, that's usually how I used to shop for chairs until recently, when I didn't feel like going down to the chair department and getting the incredibly helpful, in air quotes, sales lady that will inevitably show up and try to be nice, in air quotes.
While
You
trying
don't
to
really feel
flog
like-
you off onto the most expensive chair they've got.
You don't want to be
Or-
nice at.
No.
Not air quotes.
No.
nice.
Office supply store floor people are the most obnoxious, insincere, helpful store employees that I've ever met.
Anyway,
Right.
that's that.
Okay. Ari,
Alright.
your week.
So I did have a few things. I got notes on one thing. It made such an impression on me this week. Quite a few notes. But I'm going to skip most of it because we're already running long on weeks.
It's probably going to be a long show. It's fine.
Oh, you don't have to run
So-
away today?
Nope.
Okay. So this week, the first 2 days this week were really easy. It was a really nice, relaxing Monday, Tuesday, which is rare. Those days are usually some of the busier these days, but not this week. I had Monday and Tuesday pretty chill. Even got to come home early on Tuesday.
What?
I know. There just wasn't anything going on, and my inbox was empty. It was amazing.
I don't have any idea what that feels like.
This sounds like heresy.
Yeah, this hasn't happened in a while. So Monday and Tuesday were total beat days, and so I got an extended long weekend. Wednesday and Thursday, however, the universe decided to turn back around and come bite me in the butt.
There we go.
There's always a cat.
Yeah, and those were very long days, and dealing with many customers, including one customer that kept changing his mind after he'd already sent me a purchase order, and I'd already sent that purchase order to our basin manufacturer. And so I had to keep playing phone tag with him and the basin people and go, he changed his mind again. And by the end of it, the basin manufacturer representative wanted to kill me, and I wanted to kill my customer. That was nice.
Yeah. Don't you just love the indecisive ones?
Yeah. And it was something stupid like uniseals. He didn't know if he needed 2-inch or 3-inch uniseals for a 2-inch discharge piece of equipment. Like, you just need 2 inches. He's like, well, I need, just give me some 3 inches anyway. If it's too big, I'll just seal it a different way.
Okay, if only there was a professional somewhere who could answer this question.
Gee, it's almost like it's my job or something to know the answer to this question.
I know, right?
Like, no, okay, fine. Whatever you say, customer. Calls me back. Actually, why don't we get 2-inch ones instead? I'm like, okay, I'll call him. Calls me again an hour later. You know, why don't we just get both to be safe?
Oh.
I wanted to beat my head on the desk.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the many things that drove this week crazy, and there was a bunch of other work stuff that I'll skip over. But it was a mess. It was a super mess.
Super mess. Yes.
So yeah. Friday was a normal day that went long because I had to do finance stuff, but the actual work wasn't that bad. And then we had well, that was it for work stuff. It is rolled over to Sunday now, so it's now Father's Day. So I had to go shopping for that and help get that set up and figure out what the family is going to do for it, because I'm sure they will want to meet to eat something, or somebody's going to cook something, and I got all that coordinated.
Man, your family celebrates everything.
Everything that is on anybody's calendar ever gets at least a meetup at the Opossums for dinner. It is a thing because we live so
he's the
close to
only
each
person
other.
in your family who can cook.
Well, it used to be my grandparents who would do it, so he's just kind of been the replacement. Because if we're going to continue to meet for everything on the calendar anyway, the only other options are my sister and my mother.
Don't let them do it. You're going to get pork chops.
Yeah, so we let the opossum do it. So yeah, that's it for real life stuff. And my father has decided to kill himself by painting the house when it doesn't need painting, but he's doing it.
He just seems to like housework.
He does. It's his playtime, and he's in such denial about it because he'll say it's stuff that needs doing when it never does. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, Dad. It's Father's Day week, so I'll let you have your autistic moment. You go have fun. Just he didn't ask me to help him, but it's a thing that's been ongoing.
In the car in case you need to drive him to hospital again.
Yes, actually, I did put fuel in the car but it was because gas prices are continuing to hike up. So yes. I refilled from half a tank before they get up $7.
Yeah, it was. How much did I pay? I think I paid 296 cents per litre this week. You can convert those New Zealand cents. I don't know what that is in dollars per gallon.
$2.48 for me.
Yeah, it's currently about $5 per gallon in my area, and it just keeps getting up there.
I don't know how much a gallon is.
I'd say it's in free fall, but it's going in the wrong direction for that.
Yeah, it's
the price of crude is actually tumbling.
Yeah, but it's going to be a long time until that hits the consumer's level.
And
well, they say. I don't think it's actually true.
Hmm.
Don't you love how the Western countries have all decided that they wanted to sanction Russia by cutting off their pipeline, but when they cut off their own pipeline, it's not regarded as a sanction?
Yeah.
You know, Canada, they destroyed their pipeline project. America destroyed their pipeline project. Oh dear.
You people didn't think this through, did you?
The politicians, I don't think they're capable of thinking things through.
They are not.
Yeah. Level 81. So, for entertainment stuff, I mostly would come home and just either find something to do in Final Fantasy or...
You mean go to Eureka.
Go to Eureka.
Or do some reading. So, one half of my free time on one day was spent in Eureka. And that was wrapping up Pyros and our grind there, and another half of my free time Saturday, which is the day I had the most time, was spent in Eureka getting progress in Hydatos. And we finally hit level 59. This is significant because you need to be at least one level below a Notorious Monster to get the rewards from it. Otherwise, you'll just get EXP, and even that at a reduced rate.
A severely reduced rate.
I mean, it's still worth doing them, but the EXP is all you get.
They want people to hate Eureka. Like, a lot of these things, they all sound like lessons that were learned.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. Because the other part of my free time this week was spent in Baja, in Final Fantasy. But Eureka, I'm now at a point where I don't have to stay synced up with Abo anymore if we're going to do it together. And I can come back and help y'all with anything. And I don't have to worry about my level getting in the way, assuming I don't level down because a meteor falls on me as soon as I load in the next zone.
Which does happen.
In Hydatos, it could.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Hydatos is ironically probably the safest zone. It seems like they finally got the message that nobody likes Eureka, and so we'll just put a big flat map with the Aetheryte all in a triangular layout across the two bottom corners of the map at the top in the middle. And you start in the top in the middle, and everything on one side, on the west side, is low level, and everything on the east side is high level, and is level 60 is 65. The level cap is 60. And you can you can plan it out from there. It's a big wide open space with plenty of room to run around all the mobs, even though they're higher level than you. It's like they just said, okay, we get it, you don't like this place. Here's an incredibly easy to navigate and easily laid out zone to deal with no gimmicks.
Let's just finish this and be done with it.
Yeah, it's because it's set up for the Balstidian Arsenal, which is a actual nightmare.
Baldician.
Yeah, the Balstidian Arsenal is a gigantic 24 to 48 person raid that is how you get the Ozma mount if you can clear it. But to clear it, you have got to thoroughly study this place, probably die a few times, and when you think you've got a handle on it, you've got to join the Balstidian Annex Discord and for your server group, and then go get a group together, and that's about the only realistic way you're doing it these days. Because this is a dungeon with a ton of mechanics, it's very difficult, and if you die, you cannot traditionally res. You have to use the equivalent of lost actions, otherwise you can't res anybody, or limit break 3.
When it was current, it was regarded as basically the pinnacle gameplay outside of Ultimates.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult to do. They have got it down to a science enough now that normal casuals can do it, but you have to go in there fully prepared and fully kitted out with the appropriate equivalent of lost actions, logos actions. You've got to go in there with the right as much plus elemental bonus gear as you possibly can. You've got to go in there with the bonus magicite you get for spending the items you can get from the NMs and Pyros and Hydatos. They go for millions on the auction house, by the way. Those are not cheap.
Yeesh.
Because they are rare drops. Very rare drops. And you have to, basically, you just got to get yourself set and ready to go. You've got to farm the drops in Pagos that give you a haste bonus while you're in Eureka. If you want to do Balstidian Arsenal, there's a lot of prep work, and you have to have at least several of those steps I just mentioned done. You can get away with a few of them not done, but you've got to have at least have done a few if you want to even have a prayer of clearing it. Or not so much clearing it, the group may clear it, but if you die and they don't have a way to res you, your run's over. You level down from 60 to 59, get kicked out of the dungeon, and then have to go grind back up to 60 and farm the materials to enter again.
Oh, that just sounds like a chore.
So I don't have any current plans of ever doing this because Eureka's a pain in the butt. I just want the elemental armor.
Fair.
At this point, I have invested so much time in this place that I'm getting my dang shiny armor, and I'm going to dye it bright pink and not wear any pants with it.
As you do.
Just to tick Abo off.
Why would that tick him off?
because he hates my outfits that don't have pants.
Hardly anybody wears pants in this game.
Oh, I mean the specifically the outfits that show upper thigh that don't have any pants.
Yes, like are worn by most of the population of female characters.
Yes,
And some of the male ones.
Yeah, especially
yeah,
Hrothgar for some reason.
yeah, he takes particular offense to me in my pantsless outfits when they exist. So I've gone out of my way to make as many as possible. Let's see. And so that's Eureka. Next was the solo stuff I did this week. I'll talk about this before Basha, which involved me just running around and doing fates to try and get my shared fate numbers up so that I can eventually start working on the tokens and have a dump for these stupid gemstones. The Shadowbringers ones are fairly fast. There's usually trains going that you can just hop on and ride around the zone. And I managed to finish all of Shadowbringers. The only two I had to really sit down and grind, well, three, were Lakeland, which I already had half done, Kalusha, which I already had a third done, and the Tempest, which I basically didn't have any progress, and that took me a day and a half of my solo time. So, Shadowbringers is now done for Shared Fate.
Nice.
I don't have to worry about saving a character, because you also want to do it when you got a character in that level bracket, right? And my strategy before had been just whenever I have a character in that level bracket, go do a few fates. If I see him while I'm waiting on other stuff, usually in Duty Finder or something.
I wouldn't worry about that too much. There's going to be plenty of relic crap to do, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's just another checkbox that was up and bugging me and I wanted to do it on while I had two classes in the right level range. And that was Gunbreaker and Bard. They'd happen to be the two classes I had in the Shadowbringers level bracket. They're now in the Endwalker bracket because doing that many fates gets you quite a bit of EXP. So this had the knock-on effect of me accidentally spawning Formidable, one of the world bosses, in the middle of the night, my time. And
still managed to round up quite a few people, though.
Now, Formidable is very tough and has a lot of HP and does not scale with the zone. So you've got to.
Yeah, I was starting to get anxious that you guys weren't going to pull.
Yeah, so I did this. There was me and like one other guy AFK and still tied in the zone. So I went to every capital city and shouted that Formidable was up, and put a group together of the first people that showed up and coordinated sending them out to go ask people they know and go shout in areas that are populated. And I messaged Vol and told him to get on that it was up. And we managed to kill it.
I died a lot.
Yeah, I didn't understand his pull-in mechanic at first, and I think I did die to it early. After that, I got it, and it wasn't that bad. But that totally got me the first time.
Yeah, I basically spent most of the time healing. Most people would be one shot if they got hurt, but you still need to keep people standing because there is a certain amount of chip damage going out, and nobody else is healing for some reason.
Yep. So we did it. We killed the world boss, and we got half of our mount. So now if we happen to see him again, we can actually get them out.
I'm salty.
Are you trying to say that I should do my shared fates?
Wait at least 2 days so Formidable has a chance to spawn. He's got a 48-hour cooldown. So yeah, that was a thing. And I'm currently running around Razat Han's second instance that opened up that is empty, grinding out fates here because not Razat Han, Thavnir, because I do not want to do Thavnir at prime time.
It's very popular right now.
Yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near this zone when it is near reset time, near after work time, or near prime time, because it's going to be just loaded with people.
Oh yeah,
but
it's not uncommon to see 3 instances of Thavnir up.
And every fate monster will be made of concrete.
Yeah.
And so I did manage to, during daily resets, somebody spawned the super boss for Thavnir one day, and I came over here and they were calling it out, and I got to him just in time and killed him. So I got half of the elephant suit.
Yeah.
You don't get a mount for him, but you get an elephant suit. The one that You can get the body and the headpiece that the quest NPC wears in the new Beast Tribe Daily quest from the most recent rank up quest. So yeah, solo time's not that interesting. That's just all I've been doing. And lastly, the other part of my group free time went to Baja. So we were at Lacus Latoria and needed to do it. And we were having trouble managing to get into the zone when it was available and there were actually people in there. Which is, you gotta, with Baja, because it's not as grind heavy and as coordinated, there are actually less people doing it most of the time. Because you don't have to be as coordinated in Baja. The lost actions proportionately are way more powerful. And the general grind experience isn't as reliant on communication. So people just kind of pop in there and do it whenever, and if it's up, well, it's not going to pop for at least another hour and some change. And that's if there are enough people at all, because there's never always a constant instance that's active with Baja. Some days there just isn't one. So you've got to wait till prime time to check it out, and you've got to be ready to go in there and get stuff done. So we finally got it on Tuesday or Wednesday, I forget. The days stuff happened this week are all a blob in my head. It was one of them weeks. And that was a fun little event dungeon. It's not difficult. You can freely res, unlike the Arsenal. It's a mid-step in progression, so it makes sense. It's not that ridiculous. And you have to coordinate with up to 6 other full parties. But it does scale to the amount of people up to a point. You need it's scaled for at minimum, I think, 16, and it scales up from there. So you can't. So less than 16 people, and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, I think, is what I read on the forums. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, and you got to coordinate. Like the first boss, you have to send one group up to fight a boss up top, and one group up to fight a boss on the ground. Or not one group, but everybody else fighting a boss on the ground. And the people on the ground also have to protect a tank from the boss on the ground. And you have to synchronize your kills so that the bosses die at the same time. And the next part, there are 6 hallways, and depending on the amount of people in groups you have, you got to split up your group so that you can send people down every hallway to rescue prisoners. And the more prisoners you rescue, kill the mini boss down that hallway, the more loot you get extra bonus chests at the end of the next boss. The next boss is just a normal boss with some fun mechanics of he has elemental stuff assigned to his abilities. He'll have an element, and that element will have a tied effect like Pinax does on Force Circle. And he'll do 2 of them, and they will go off simultaneously, and you need to just kind of know how to deal with it. So like fire is pyretic, water is knocked back. The stuff you would imagine, but for some reason lightning is donut. And the last boss has a duel with a boss that 8 people need to go up and do while the rest of the group kills the boss, and they need to kill that duel boss before you kill the main boss. So there's more coordination there, and I forget what the other boss is. He wasn't very interesting. So yeah, but it was a fun little one-off. But unfortunately, it's not a one-off. You got to do it many times if you want to efficiently progress your Baja weapon, because you get 1/3 of the items you need for the next stage. Otherwise, you're grinding encounters out in the field in Southern Front, because you can only get the items in Southern Front for the step that unlocks after you've unlocked the zone that comes after Southern Front. Ain't that fun? So then you grind up a few more ranks, and go through a really long section of story, and you're told to go to a new raid. Now, this is a raid outside of Baja, the Baja areas, so not in the first or second Baja zone. It is, instead you queue for it from the same guy where you talk to go into the Baja zone. Now, this is a special raid in that even though you queue for it outside of the normal Baja zones, you can still use all the lost actions in it. There's an appraiser inside and a chest right up front, so you can rejigger your loadout based on what you have. But you don't just queue up for it like you do in Baja. You queue for it like you would in the Duty Finder, except you just talk to a dude. And he's like, okay, you're queued for the dungeon now. Well, you have no clue who is in this queue with you. And the way this queue works is every 10 minutes it does a check to see who's in queue, and regardless of what that number of people is, it's going to dump you in the dungeon.
This does not sound like a good thing.
Now, what this means is you have to hope you queued up at a time when as many other people would possibly queue up as you can think of. And we queued up at the primest of prime time, server time, which was about 10 o'clock on the dot, Eastern time, which is post dinner time for pretty much everybody in the U.S. on a U.S. server. That's about as good as you can get. And we got 6 people for a raid that does not scale, that is meant for I think it's 40. No, it's 24 people. Yeah. And this is apparently normal nowadays. And you've just got to do this thing with 6 people. So what I thought would be a quick little hour-long thing to do that would be fun turned into an all-afternoon project. Or an all-evening project, I should say. It took us about 3 hours to do this quick little raid. Now, if you could get a full 24-minute, yeah, you could blitz this place in 10-15 minutes. If you don't have that many, you're going to be like you do nowadays. You need to coordinate heavily with your group the lost actions that you have, the essences that everybody has equipped, because that's the other thing. It also doesn't check your role. It's just throwing you in there with whoever. We did not have a healer.
Oh, wow.
We had 3 tanks, 2 DPS, one of which didn't even have any essences, because he didn't know what those were. And had no lost actions. And so I wound up playing the Gunbreaker healer.
It sounds like a terrible idea.
Your lips are moving, and all I'm hearing is "get good."
Oh, we got good. We cleared it. But, Gunbreaker healer with lost actions is really easy because lost actions trivialize it. It just costs you a ton of lost actions. I went through many lost cure 2s and lost cure 3s, and every single lost revive that I had, I had 0 left by the end of it. I would return after every boss and go pull out more. But we got there. And you get a ton of metal for it, and you get a ton of good progress and rewards for it. There's even a weekly quest to do it every week. You would think that would incentivize some people. It does not. So, yeah. Me, obviously, I didn't know the fights other than watching the video, and oh boy am I glad I did, because this dungeon has a few more special things that make it fun. This dungeon, in lieu of vulnerability stacks, you get a debuff of an ability called Twice Come Ruin. And if you get 2 stacks of this, which lasts for 2 minutes after you get hit by any avoidable mechanic, you get an Undispellable Doom and die. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
This does not sound fun.
This makes it very tense the whole way through, because doing the mechanics right takes priority over everything, because there is only one boss that has one phase that has an enraged mechanic. So you need to. This is why we could take so long to do this place, because each boss took it was a 20+ minute marathon. So doing mechanics right becomes the most important thing in that dungeon, because if you get hit twice within 2 minutes, you're dead. And somebody's got to blow a Lost Arise on you, or you can use standard reses, but we had no healer. We had one red mage. Ava was playing red mage, so he had to really do mechanics right. Otherwise, we didn't have a traditional res, and I had to get his butt off the ground with my reses, which I would use all of them on him about every other fight.
Yeesh.
Because some of these mechanics are quite tricky and are meant to troll you. The first boss is incredibly straightforward. The second boss is a Minotaur-style fast telegraph. Look at his animation to see what he's doing, but it's incredibly obvious because it shares the same skeleton and animation model as the Minotaurs do. So if you know what their attacks look like Ripper Claw and Tail Swipe that you're used to, you can dodge his stuff pretty well. His charge, and he has fire breaths and stuff like that. It's real simple. Just look at the ability name and what his model's doing, and you can probably intuit where to not be. The next boss is where we got cock blocked for a while, and we had to really stop and rejigger lost actions. It's 4 mini boss fights back to back for the next proper boss, and each one is very easy for a boss by itself. The only one that'll probably get you is the one that summons 4 clones of itself in the 4 corners of the room that you can't target. It'll mark 2 of them briefly and then make those marks disappear, and then play a shell game with those things and have them hop around the room and shuffle themselves around, and you need to run to and stand on one of the 2 ads that he didn't mark at the beginning before he took the marks away. That's the only one that can kill you. The other ones are all gimmies. But at the end of that, you know the Ravana trial, how he puts up a barrier that protects him on 3 sides, and if you attack the wrong one, you get knocked back?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, imagine that mechanic. All 4 ads come to the field and start channeling the You're Dead move if this gets off. And they each put up a Ravana barrier, and they alternate which side it is. If you hit them, you get knocked back, get stunned, and get a stack of the Doom vulnerability. So what we had happen for 2 attempts in a row was we didn't have the DPS because 2 of our DPS would accidentally whack the wrong side, and we get bounced off the boss and die from the Doom mechanic. And we did not have enough DPS to stop and res them.
Yeesh.
And it's an insta-wipe. It blows through invulnerability and does straight 9s across the board damage. Like, it is, there's no cheese in it, you're just dead.
This is sounding like something I never actually want to do.
Well, you got to. It's mandatory to unlock the second half of Baja. So, this is the only enraged mechanic in the entire raid. This is why you can take your time, as long as you can clear this one mechanic. So, now, you have no idea what the skill level of the people queuing up for this thing's going to be. You have no idea what lost actions they got. So for us, we were just making do with what we had and trying to pull out as much DPS crap as we could for that particular second fight, because we just needed to get through that phase to keep the dungeon going. And after you beat that, you can clear it, but keep in mind with Baja, every time you die, you lose metal. You can't rank down, but you can lose metal. And it doesn't matter if you get res or not. You lose a ton if you release, like the equivalent of the EXP you lose in Eureka. But you still lose a little bit every time you die. This will be relevant for the last boss. The next boss has a gotcha mechanic where you need to intentionally get hit by select moves. She'll put a debuff on you that'll put a marker above your head that'll look like a thermometer that'll be 1 to 2 pips in either hot or cold, and you need to get hit by attacks that'll also have a thermometer icon on them that are 1 to 2 pips in hot or cold of the opposite of whatever you have to balance your heat. So you need to intentionally do that, and if you get hit by the wrong degree of heat, you get a stack of the Doom debuff. But her way of delivering these attacks is very trolly. You know the ladder game where you start at the top of the ladder and you pick a line, and every time you come to a horizontal line in the horizontal crisscross, you have to take the turn, and you have to see which line is going to end where.
Mm-hmm.
She does this for a mechanic by putting attacks with different thermometer values and temperatures at the top of each ladder, and you have to work out which end of the ladder your thing is going to land at.
Oh, I've always been bad at those horrible things.
Yeah, I'm terrible at them. And, oh boy, am I glad that mechanic only happens once every 3 minutes, because I screwed it up every single time, even though it briefly highlights where each one's going to go.
This sounds like this whole dungeon was just made by a complete masochist.
But it's a lot of fun if I had been in the right mindset for it. It became more fun as time went on. Initially, this was a nightmare. Oh, and by the way, there are Palace of the Dead style traps all through the hallways. And if nobody has lost perception, your only option, unless you want to get one shot every other step, is to have a tank pop in invulnerability and go sprint down the hallway.
Just why?
So don't run ahead of your tank. In fact, don't ever be in the front in this place, otherwise you're going to trigger the trap.
You'll go get smooshed.
You're not going to get just smushed. You'll explode, kill everybody around you, and get a dot on you. And guess what happens if you don't know there's a dot and you're the Gunbreaker healer? The guy that just ran and popped all the traps is going to die from the poison. Twice, because you'll forget about it again when the next set comes up.
Oh, a joy.
That's okay. The guy was laughing about it. So I think he took it in. I think he took it in stride when I let him die to that. So that was fun. And the last boss has a chessboard where she will put pieces on the board that will have a certain number of dots inside their hitbox, and they will march that number of dots forward and do a plus-sized AoE on all the spaces in a Bomberman shape. And then eventually, she will start giving you markers, and you have to move that many spaces on the chessboard in any direction while avoiding all of her ads that are doing this. But that's not too difficult a mechanic, because you can just run to the far end and move in a straight line. The hard part is, if you don't have a healer with Asuna, your tanks are going to die. There is no getting around this. Or bring Dispel. Now, we one-shot her, we just took forever to do it, so we didn't have time to go run back and think about this. So, every 30 seconds or so, she puts a Dispellable Doom on her primary target. But if you don't have a Dispel because nobody has Asuna, that means that target's just going to die.
All I'm hearing from all this is, if you're going to queue for this, make sure you've got your own multi-role group with a lot of utility.
Get at least two or three other friends to go with you, so that you can at least cover most of your bases. So we had 3 tanks, so what we did was the current tank would just be the sacrifice, and we would just rotate through all of us. But yeah, this was an all-night project that I did not expect to be an all-night project.
That is just insane.
Yeah, so we cleared it. We unlocked the second half of Baja after that surprise adventure. And now that I know that it's like that, and that's just how you're expected to do it, I could be talked into doing it because it was relatively fun. It was mostly annoying because it caught me off guard.
Well, now you can go in prepared with the right people.
Yeah, so when you guys do it, I can go with you, and we can properly prepare.
Well, I suppose that the question is any of the stuff attached to it tied into particular relic weapons that a person is going to only ever want to go as a particular class?
No, you get the drops no matter what. You don't have to be the class or that you're farming your relic weapon on to get the stuff you can get from there to make progress. Or I think the same item you need for the step where you can use that place to progress it. I've got
the quest I've got a quest for Castrum Lacus Latore to start with.
Yeah, that one's yeah, that's this place comes almost immediately after that. You got quite a bit of story, but no gameplay content to do in between there. Maybe a little bit of metal grinding depending on what your metal ranks at. I'm not sure when stuff unlocks. But yeah. And then you unlock the next zone, and the metal rewards in the next zone are significantly increased. And it seems like the cluster drop rate is dramatically increased as well. So we were able to farm both of our riding maps fairly quickly in between critical engagements. Just go find something with 7th Legion in the name and kill it while you're waiting on critical engagements to pop. And even if they're chain popping, just keep killing stuff until the last second to actually commence the duty. Just make sure you're registered ahead of time, and you'll eventually get your riding maps. So yeah, that was Baja. And that's where we left off.
You still sound a lot less unhappy than you did when you were in Eureka.
Yeah, I have not had any bad experiences in Baja. It's other than the surprise of that dungeon and just how big a project that turned out to be when I wasn't expecting it. It has been a fairly enjoyable experience, and even though that place was a surprise and took way too long to do, it was still fun, and I want to do it again now that I know what it actually is and for it.
Other than the whole, oh well, you've got to farm lost actions beforehand because you don't know what you're going to get.
I just go buy them.
I don't like
That's
buying
what I did.
things. I don't like buying things that can be farmed.
Yeah,
but,
we actually had a failed run the first time with 4 people, and that we thought just the instance didn't load very good, and I'm like, well, just in case, because we didn't even attempt anything when we got in there. There were only 4 people. I'm like, well, that was weird. I'll just go run and buy some lost actions just in case it really is this bad. We queued up again, and yeah, it really was that bad.
Eesh.
But we got 6 that time, and oh boy, am I glad I did, because you need to carry an essence that benefits whatever role you're playing. The role does not have to match your class. You need to carry probably Lost Cure, and somebody has to carry Lost Arise in case the Reser goes down, if you even have one to begin with. But you can coordinate that with 1 or 2 pre-made people, especially now that I know what I'm getting into. I can walk people through it.
Well, I mean, the role that I don't enjoy is DPS, so if I go in there, I'll be either going in as a tank or a healer.
But yeah, I had the DPS essence on with the healer action equipped and the res action equipped, and that seemed to work out pretty good because we were barely meeting the enrage timer on that one boss. And for that boss, you can actually switch actions mid-combat. I actually dumped Raze as soon as that phase started, because if anybody died, that was all she wrote anyway, and equipped a usable DPS action that does a ton of damage but has a very few usage. I had 1 copy of it, and that seemed to push us over the edge. So yeah, that was a thing. I
don't know, a small group PvE project that takes several hours actually sounds like the fun way to play the game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the only problem with it was I wasn't expecting it, and it came out of the blue and wound up eating a whole night. So yeah, Lacus Littori does not take that long, and is not nearly as complicated, and as long as there are people doing it right that minute, you can get it done in 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding a time when people are doing it.
Yeah, you just gotta keep poking your head in Baja, and hit the player search button wherever that is on mouse and keyboard, or press start and scroll to it under social, and see how many people are in the zone.
In order for us to do it, you've got to go and drag Fern through Eureka first.
Yeah, you've got to get through the dragging people through Eureka and the grind in Eureka actually isn't that bad, but there is a ton of story that is many hours of cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
And right over time, it doesn't feel that bad. But when I think back on it, that is a lot of cutscene for post MSQ content that is not required to progress into the next expansion. So you need to go in with time.
And time's something I'm rather short of these days.
Yeah, it's over the course of... it's been months that I've been slowly chipping away at Eureka, but the grind itself goes by pretty quick. If you can bounce between the things that spawn pretty quick...
I think that the bigger challenge is getting in the right headspace to actually commit to it.
Yeah, there's that too.
Going through Eureka actually helped with that, because anything's better than Eureka, but it's similar enough that some of the ideas carry over. So yeah, just I would at least unlock it and get yourself through Animos or in Pagos in Eureka, and I can come back and help you guys now, since I don't need to keep pace with Abo to make sure we can do our challenge log every week. I can just help y'all with yours and just be in a group with you, and that'll be that.
Oh yeah, can you get experience for your classes in Eureka?
No.
That's the thing that really rankles me about it, more than any other thing about it. If I was actually progressing my classes while I was in there, I would have no problem with it. But the fact is that I feel like you've just locked your progress the moment you set foot in there.
Yeah, you're making a separate horizontal line of progress to your main character's normal stuff.
It's not the case in Bosnia, where Bosnia is still one of the most efficient ways to level characters.
Oh yeah, I've taken mostly my Dark Knight through there, and in like the bits this week that I've done, she's gotten 6 levels.
Nice.
Like, and that's and the special raid I was talking about before that I 6-manned, that one you do have to do at level 80, but everything else in there, even Lacus Latore, you can do at 71 and you'll just be scaled to level 80. But yeah, I capped out my Bard I got my Bard finished in there. I got my Gunbreaker finished in there, and I made significant progress on my Dark Knight, and I have the raw number of hours spent on the Baja field this week has not been very much. Yeah, I would say maybe been on the field itself 3.5 hours. And that's a ton of progress.
That is, actually. That's not too bad as far as just grind time is concerned.
So if you want to, you can use Baja to zip through Shadowbringers and be done with it.
Is it like 95% Reapers and Sages in there?
Not anymore. There's still quite a few, but not anymore.
All right.
So yeah, that has been my Final Fantasy experience this week, is trying out the alternative relic weapons for the zones and making progress in them.
I mean, the second that they drop the new one, it's going to basically blow up those zones. Like, they will cease to exist.
Yeah, it'll be very difficult to get grips for that. So if you want to jump on it, you pretty much have to do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, Baldizia and Arsenal was still being run a lot during Shadowbringers, though, which is, I'm sort of surprised that you said it's as much of a ghost town as it is, because during Shadowbringers it was already past content, but there were heaps of people running it.
Oh yeah, Belstedian Arsenal, there are heaps of people that run it. They're just incredibly coordinated. So they set times to do it, and they get on that Discord, whatever your thing server is. Like, the Balstadian Arsenal groups at this point are running like well-oiled grease, and they just drag people with them. And
what are they doing it for? What are they doing?
There's a ton of crap in there that you can sell for money.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, even just the equivalent of the lost action fragments that you get in Baja, you can get you can sell those for sometimes millions if you get enough of them. So yeah, that is where I'm at with those, and I just wanted to share my unique experience I had doing that raid, especially.
All right. In that case, we have an email if you're done with your week.
I'm not going to read it. I'll probably suffocate if I try.
I've been talking a lot. Fern, you haven't read an email in a while.
And I'm just gonna leave this vampire die on a bridge. It's fine. Okay, as usual, it comes from our good buddy Serathus. And he says, "Dear No Excuses. So this year's not E3 was amusing. So far, I've only checked out the PC Gamer Show, which was okay, and the crazy Devolve that was limited run games. They out-Devolved Devolver, with how crazy their show. But both LRG and Devolver had a few interesting games, like Cult of the Lamb, which is what happens when you mix the gameplay of Isaac with the art style of Cly. Or Rotwood, which is what happens when Cly mixes their art style with Castle Crashers. Or Demon School, which is what happens when Californians make their own SMT/Persona. That sounds dreadful. For some reason, they also felt need to turn Spellforce, remember Spellforce? Me neither. I remember Spellforce. I like Spellforce. Into a Heroes of Might and Magic and turn-based strategy. Because the RTS/RPG hybrid the series was apparently wasn't good enough. All in all, there was nothing mind-blowing that I have seen on this year's not E3, but I added a couple of things to my wish list to keep track of. Alright, there's a lot to go through for that first bit block, so let's have a quick look. Cult of the Lamb. It's a strange little game. It's all about a sheep that starts a cult and ultimately starts sacrificing his friends to the Great Old Ones.
That's not what friends are for.
It is if you're a cute little lamb, apparently. I might actually... Did it launch? I think it released. Hang on, let me have a look. But it's got a very cute art style, despite the incredibly grim and dark content matter. Let's see. Cult of the Lamb. As soon as I can actually type properly, because I am bad at this. Here we are, 35 money, and it is out now. 12th of August. There we go, 7 weeks away. But yeah, it's very cute. It's actually kind of Cal artsy.
Gross.
That's
What's that?
oh, that's
Sausage
lost.
face.
Yeah.
Losing tons of points there.
All interest just evaporated.
Well, it's that mixed with Don't Starve. And it stays that way right up until the murders begin. So it's cute,
Yeah.
and it's interesting, and incredibly morbid. I'm kind of curious.
I would have. I don't think the Cal art style looks good. I don't like it at all. But I could stomach it if it was just a few things that occasionally had it. But since literally everything has it nowadays, I just don't care.
Yeah. The
And
thing
it makes me not want to engage with that product.
Yeah. The thing about the Cal art style is it's cheap, and it's easy to replicate.
Yeah, well, I don't think that that's a good enough excuse. I
If
think
not-
that nobody should buy anything that uses Cal art so that people stop doing it.
We learned this years ago when everyone was copying the Hanna-Barbera style.
Well, the other thing was Hanna-Barbera just had a truckload of cartoons.
Oh yeah, they made the
I-
same cartoon wearing a different hat like 6 times.
Like, they had Jetsons, Flintstones, Yogi Bear, the Sad Dog.
But the thing is that even if you say that, they were also contemporaneous with, like, Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So you still had something else you could go to.
Yeah,
You basically
and they're all-
don't. You basically don't with Cal Arts. Like, as far as like contemporary cartoon stuff goes, it's all Cal Arts. There's no alternative. Everybody has sausage mouth.
Yeah, they're also in the days of Hanna-Barbera and early Warner Brothers, there just weren't that many art styles.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they were drawing all of them, unlike
by
Cal
hand,
Arts,
yes.
where everything is done automatically, more or less.
Yeah, they have a copy paste button now.
They do. Alright. I haven't actually looked at what Rotwood is. And yeah, Californian Persona sounds horrible.
Awful.
Absolutely abominable.
Like Persona 3 and Persona 4 work because they are not handled by a woke studio, and they have the incredible potential to be turned woke with at the slightest, nudge.
Yeah.
That story is just set up for it when you're digging that deep into characters' workings and how they think and how they behave as people. That's just too dangerous to put in the hands of a Californian.
Yeah.
I say dangerous, tongue in cheek, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
This doesn't look at all appealing to me.
Yeah. Spellforce. I wouldn't mind doing Light Magic in the Spellforce universe, just don't forget that Spellforce actually existed.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really care because, like, for me, Heroes 3 was the pinnacle of the genre, and there's
Yeah.
just not really any reason to play any game that has come out since Heroes 3, because I feel, personally, other than the compatibility issues that spring up periodically, Heroes 3 doesn't age. It's still the perfect example of that game, more or less. Got a few balance issues here and there, I'm sure you can get fan patches that smooth them out.
Of
But
course.
generally speaking, I feel like it's perfected, and I don't need more pretenders to the throne unless they turn out to be in some way superlative, which I don't expect to be the case.
Yeah. That said, I don't think you can even play the last couple of Might and Magic games anymore. The
Yeah, I
server's
think
been
they
shut
probably.
down.
I think that exploded along with Uplay.
Yeah. I think they did. That's okay, because no one was playing Might and Magic 8 because it that good.
Well, that's Might and Magic. That's not Heroes of Might and Magic. Heroes of Might and Magic is something different.
Well,
But,
you know what I mean.
But yeah, like I don't think that that there's really anything to add to Heroes 3. Like it's almost a stereotypically cultish attitude to take towards Heroes 3. But I spent so much of my life playing that game, and Heroes 4, 5, 6, none of them took.
They got
They
it
were-
right
they-
that
They
time.
were all
They've never been able to do it
attempting.
again.
They were all attempting to iterate and basically failing to do so successfully.
Yeah.
Like you could tell by the way they didn't keep anything from game to game. The way, like, Heroes 3 is a very obvious iteration on Heroes 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
There haven't really been all that many other attempts at that sort of game. Like, you've got Disciples and you've got Age of Magic, or what was it?
Age of Wonders.
Age of Wonders, thank you.
I classify Age of Wonders separately because the way you manage your towns is very, very different.
Very different, yeah. Like, there's a bit of overlap between Heroes of Might and Magic and Age of Wonders, but what they do differently is very obvious.
Liked Age of Wonders 2, I think was the one I probably played the most.
Yeah.
But
I actually really like Planetfall.
despite the fact that I liked it, I always ended up defaulting back to playing Heroes 3 as well, because it's like, well, I could be playing Heroes 3. I really like Heroes 3.
Yeah, as for Spellforce, though, they recently did a remaster of Spellforce 3. The Reforced edition, where they took all the improvements that they made to the game in the DLC packs and brought them backwards, as well as added a bunch more story content and fixed a whole lot of bugs, which is actually really nice, because there's a lot of games where once they release a DLC, they just don't, or rather an expansion, they don't touch the base game anymore.
There have been a lot of people who have posted reviews saying that it was broken, though.
It was.
Their account system didn't work or something like that.
Yeah, I tried to play it the other day, and their account server had just exploded. So I want to play it, but yeah, with Melty account server, no one can actually do anything online. You could do single player, you could play through the story, but that was about it. Oh, not this guy. Run away! Alright. There's someone at my door again. This seems to be a recurring thing today.
So yeah, I have recruited a warrior buddy who is brand new to Endwalker because he doesn't have the 8th occurrence, and running around doing fates with him in Thavnir number 2, and we are the only 2 people here.
Dead air. Dead air.
I am continuing to fill dead air as I talk about this warrior guy. See, he is also a lion man, much like our beloved Fern, who's currently answering the door and letting us fill dead air with nonsense. And except he has the most effeminate shirt with the most manly pants I've seen on a lion man.
I do not understand what you're describing, but I do not wish to talk to fill space because I'm afraid I'll just go into another coughing fit.
Well, you can see I will take a snapshot if I can actually catch him. No, that's not a good pose. That's not a good pose. There we go. I managed to get a thing from him, and so I will post that in live show chat for you in just a moment. When we can use this to fill the dead air, because we have to fill the dead air. As you can see, he has the most effeminate shirt, but fairly manly pants, and I don't understand this.
That's a very odd phrase to come back to.
I was filling dead air. You're making me fill it with nonsense.
Yes, apparently. But, yeah, people keep knocking on my door.
We'll tell them to stop.
Stop! Alright. Right. Let's see. Getting back into the email. Speaking of turn-based strategy, I bought Cantata. It's in early access. It has some weird Factorio vibes with how you have to set up supply lines for production, and some really weird art style for unit portraits, but in the end it seems to be just okay. Ran out of the refund period, so I guess it's a keeper. Cantata, eh? Let's have a look-see at that.
Very pixely.
Ta-ta! It's very...
Not all the way pixely, but it looks very strange.
It's all the way pixely, but it's zoomed out far enough that you don't really notice. It is
Well, I
very
mean,
strange.
Argument about basically anything, but
Yeah. As are the portrait icons. They are also very strange. What on earth is going on in this game? Actually, one RTS that's popped out that recently that everyone seems to be playing is the Starship Troopers one.
what,
Which-
really?
Yeah. Apparently there's a bunch of people on my friends list keep playing it. I mean, it's about time we stopped having pretenders and just got a straight up Starship Troopers RTS. Instead of, StarCraft.
There's nothing wrong with StarCraft. It's an adequate RTS. It did pretty well. In fact, it's probably the reason it's doing so well is that Blizzard refuses to touch it.
Yeah. Didn't they ruin... Oh, no, they only ruined the competitive scene. That doesn't matter. So, yeah. I really have no idea what to make of Kentata. I think I'll just leave that alone then. In other news, Epic Battle Fantasy Collection has released. Yes, it did. Containing pretty much everything Matt made before Epic Battle Fantasy 3. It has like a dozen Flash games. The only one actually worth trying are EBF 2 and Bullet Heaven 1. But it's still nice to hear the first original Epic Battle Fantasy soundtrack. Blech, words.
He really does love him some Epic Battle Fantasy.
It is an incredibly silly series. I don't mind a little bit of Epic Battle Fantasy. Just because of how absolutely ridiculous things get. And they have an achievement called Boing. You can probably guess what that's for. I think that was in 2?
I got one of those achievements. I don't remember which one it was, though.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Let's see. No, Epic Battle Fantasy 4. I got very few achievements, but one of them was Pervert.
Yeah. There's a lot of that sort of thing.
But as soon as I accidentally realised that you could boing the chest of the character, I knew that there had to be a achievement attached to it, because that's just the kind of game that it is.
And we were not disappointed.
I was not disappointed.
Alright, and finally, 40k. The Boomer Shooter is on my wish list. I don't really care for the deluge of other games from that franchise, except maybe Darktide. But I already have Deep Rock Galactic and Killing Floor 2 for my Horde Shooter needs. Is that what we're calling the genre now, is it? Okay.
Because everything's got to be a genre or subgenre.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of interested in, what is it, Shooter Blood and Teeth. Which it looks kind of like Worms, except with orcs.
Yeah, I'm always sort of like trying to reserve judgment as much as possible on the 40k games, because they miss so much more often than they hit.
Yeah, but when they hit hard.
Yeah. Well, Orcs is a good step. Orcs are the best race in
They are.
40k.
I
As
mean,
far as I'm concerned.
they did make one game about the filthy towel, so...
This doesn't look like this is a side-scrolling beat-em-up style thing. This is not
Okay.
Worm. This looks like
It's been a while since I actually looked at it. But, yeah.
this looks like Guacamelee with shooters.
I still see no problem with this. I mean, anytime we get more orc content, I'm happy. Gonna hang out with the boys. Alright. Last little bit of the email. Alright, there's also Steam Next with lots of demos. Most of them colony builders, or life sims, or survival sandboxy crafty things.
One of the things that we've got a market that's ridiculously overglutted already.
The colony builders, yeah.
Like, at this point, like, if I wanted to find me a really good colony builder to play, I would just take the first recommendation Fern gave me, because there are so many of them I can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
Just go on a Steam list and find which one has the most hours.
That'd be banished. I wouldn't recommend renting that unless you hate it.
That it has the most hours could mean that it's an idle game, though.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of wiggle room in there, and I don't think they've quite hit exactly the full things they can do with the colony builders. But that said, no one's really doing anything new with it either. Like, I can think of a couple of new things you can do with the genre, but no one seems to be doing them. Alright. So, and there's a PS. The best Sonic game on PC is still Doom mod. Check out Sonic Robo Blast 2.
And he shells for it every time Sonic comes up.
Yeah, but I mean...
That's what he do.
Sonic hasn't done himself any favours, let's face it. I don't think we've heard anything further about Sonic Frontiers since that... I'm not going to call it a trailer because that's giving it way too much credit.
I remember it purely within the context of that song now.
Sega hired this man.
Sega hired this man. So, thanks for the email, Ceratus. We do have a bit more of the not E3 content. The corpse of E3, perhaps. E3's last gasp. Ugh. I haven't watched the PC show because I kind of looked at the lineup and just went,
Yeah, I figured that I'd wait for the announcements to percolate toward the top of what people were discussing, because I doubt that I'm going to see anything in there super revolutionary that nobody else noticed or whatever. And generally speaking, most of the things that they talk about are disappointing.
Yeah.
So.
Like, there's a bunch of Devolver games, which are usually interesting enough to merit at least a look.
Yeah, but often they're not interesting enough to merit more than that.
Yeah. Okay, what the hell?
Yeah. The Devolvers had a couple good games and like one smash hit game. Then that was an accident on their part. Fall Guys is okay.
Fall Guys is okay. I like Fall Guys.
But it was mostly by accident that they got there.
Yeah. They had the right game in the right place at the right time.
The right flash in the pan.
Exactly. And yeah, they've had good games since then. They've also had a few damn squibs. So yeah, I'll at least look at Devolver games, but whether or not they actually warrant to buy is a different matter entirely. Alright, the one we did watch was the Bethesda one. Bethesda Microsoft.
I didn't watch it because I felt like it was being smeared all over my timeline whether I liked it or not.
I did, and I got my face full of Todd Howard, and I don't like this.
I saw clips of it, but I did not watch the whole thing.
Yeah. And I should have made better notes, but I didn't.
That's okay.
We'll hit the highlights.
There's only one big announcement there that's really worth talking about.
Yep. So we'll come to that to the last, I think. We will hit one which is actually good news, and that's the Persona series coming to Game Pass.
Yep, it's coming to Xbox now.
Yep, 3, 4, 5 in the definitive edition. So, Portable
Royale.
Is it really though?
It's okay. What do you mean by is it really though?
It's Persona 3 Portable, Persona 5 Royal, and Persona 4
I don't regard Persona 3 Portable as definitive because I think it's inferior to FES.
Alright, I'll give you that.
It's missing the emotional gut punch at the end of Fez, which makes the story work.
Yeah, the reason why the answer was made was because the answer was necessary.
Yeah, Persona 3 needs Fez to work. Now, P3P is still very good, and its alternative story is very, very good if you're a big fan of the game. But it is not content for a first-time playthrough at all. That is for a fan if you are already a fan of the Persona 3 story and would like to see it from another perspective.
All right.
Like a bunch of the punches and character relations in Persona 3 Portable do not work unless you already have context from playing the mail route. And the only content that really is on offer in Portable that's different from the main game that's worth noting is the female protag's different social story cutscenes. Mm-hmm. And most of that relies on you already knowing what's happened in the main game with male protag.
I don't understand why they persistently release P3P over and over again instead of ever doing a re-release of Fez, though.
There's no mention of Fez, no. So, yeah, I'm wondering about that. Did they just put...
They, like, lose the Masters or something? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Like, did they just put Portal up because it's convenient? Because it's the base story?
I think the most likely reason is that they already converted it into a portable format.
Mm-hmm.
So that it can be ported
easily
because they've done it before. Because the whole thing was a remake essentially, right? Because you've got P3, which is the original. You've got P3 Fez, which was the original with an expansion bolted on. Both of those were PS2 exclusive. However, P3P is on all kinds of different platforms, and the first thing that they did was they moved it from PS2 to PSP, which basically means that they have to rebuild it from the ground up on a new format. Meaning that it is already packaged in sort of an economized way. Like anybody who has done a coding project will tell you that if they did it over again, it would take, half the time and a third as much money to do.
Yeah.
And since they've already done it once, for this particular version, it's probably all packaged up nicely in a way that is like universally translatable. So they're basically just taking the cheap option. That's my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've already done it once, so why do it again? And why do it with Fez? Even if Fez does offer the best version of the story.
Well, it's not best version; it's complete version.
The complete version, yeah.
It's more than an epilogue. It's really it's more than an epilogue, and it's sort of more a denouement, or it's even more than that. Really, it's just the last chapter of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really needed to explain some things and tie the story together because it tries to just imply stuff a little too hard. The main story, that is.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's happening. There's not all coming at once. They're going to spread them out a bit. But it's nice to see at least Persona 5 being a bit more widely available. The other two have been more widely available for a while now.
Yeah, I really liked Persona 5 a lot, but I've never been able to replay it because I just think the story is so weak. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old or what, but the whole, yeah, man, we're going to rebel against the adults, man, thing just rings so petty and hollow to me.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Royal does a good amount to try and rectify it with its additional chapter and new character, Kasumi. Mm-hmm. But it just ain't enough.
Yeah, it feels like way more than the others did, and like this is why I suspect that it might be a facet of me getting old, is that way more than the others, it feels like a game for children.
Yeah, Strikers actually does a similar thing to Royal. It tries to get around that as well, but I mean, one of the new characters is a naive AI, and the other one is, he's a cop. But once he awakens, he comes across more of as an aging hippie, so...
Like I said, the P3 story is very, very nihilistic. It's very, very focused on, is it worth bothering if everybody just dies in the end anyway, type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, the stories have gotten progressively less dark from the first Persona iteration, generally speaking, but P3 still had teeth to it. It is my favourite one of the series. Most people's is P4, but I like P3 a lot. The feeling that I have about P3 is similar to my feeling about how I like Shadowbringers more than Endwalker, but the themes in P4 were still very, very relevant, and without really being able to describe quite what I mean, they felt more like mature, more adult.
Yeah.
Like what they were discussing was people's propensity to turn a blind eye to anything that made them uncomfortable and to sensationalize things that would distract them from real issues. Because that's something that you can observe in real life. Same with Persona 3. You can observe the phenomena they discuss there in real life. You can't observe anything you see in P5 in real life. It's just, silly.
The difference in vibe is, in Persona 4, the vibe is something that's telling a very traditional ish story of people coming to terms with themselves and the world around them, and P5 feels very cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah, P5 is, that's why I say it seems like it's for children, because it's just an adventure story.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not really what we want from SMT.
You know, I liked it a lot, but I don't like it enough to replay it, because the first time round it was a story I hadn't seen before, but the second time round I feel like I'll feel patronized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's Royal, if you're a Persona fan, is worth playing. It adds enough, and the new chapter is long enough that it's not quite Fez length, but pretty meaty. And but it's not gonna do enough to fix the problems of the core story.
Yeah, because the thing is that the problems with P5 are core to its nature. They are what it is. Like all of its strengths, I feel, come from its production, and all of its weaknesses come from what it, at its core it really is, which is just an adventure story for teenagers. They aren't genuinely exploring interesting themes the way the previous two were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want the best, just straight narrative, you have Persona 2 to go play, which I don't really want to spoil.
If you could find somewhere to play it.
If you want to suffer internally.
Well, yeah. So that's
but hey, and if you play the localized version, you get Hitler in sunglasses.
Yeah, that's true. You're not fooling anyone there, Hitler.
That's okay. It's not really Hitler.
That's just what he wants you to think.
He just wants you to think, exactly.
I suppose Nayar could have been the actual Hitler in real life, too. Maybe there's a nod to that somewhere, and that's the actual deep lore.
Probably.
Jokes are the deepest lore.
Don't go digging too deep on the deep lore in SMT franchises, because, oh boy.
Them wiki pages can get quite big.
Yes, they can.
I've done the read-through a few times.
They're quite meaty, yes. Next thing is a not announcement. It's Hideo Kojima reminding everyone that he hasn't crawled into a bottle and he's still making games.
Yeah, this is a thing that I just thought was funny when it was announced. Just Kojima coming out and being, I am Kojima.
Yes, we know.
I am due Vidya, and Xbox just gave me money.
They paid me to come here. They may or may not be holding my family hostage.
I'm being facetious, but that does actually amount to all of what happened.
That's about it. He announced that he's making a game. It wouldn't be a Microsoft panel without an announcement for an announcement, I suppose.
This has been a thing with companies, in air quotes in general, lately, is announcements of announcements.
Yeah. But at some point in the future, Kojima will announce a game. That's what he announced.
Yeah, I think companies' workflow just got so disrupted by the COOF that now that hole in the pipeline has caught up to us.
They were doing it long before the COOF.
Yeah, but it's been especially bad lately. FGO comes to mind all the time, where the 7th Lost Belt announcements for it are coming out like every 3 weeks.
It's coming, we promise.
Like, I think about once a month, I'll go see what's up with FGO and how that's coming and what the progress is like. Oh, it's an announcement of an announcement that they're totally going to prep you for the Lost Belt 7 anytime now. Any minute.
To be fair, the things that they're releasing instead are as long as the Lost Belts anyway, so...
Yeah.
And then we have Silksong in the same boat of, there'll be information soon, TM.
But we at least got to see some gameplay this time.
Well, we got a release window, but...
Yeah. Windows don't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
But actually being able to see the game in motion was a nice, refreshing thing. Means that they've actually got a game there.
Yep.
And it's looking pretty tight. I
mean,
it's more Hollow Knight.
See.
That's what we want.
Because the thing is, I get the feeling this thing was put on hold because of their location during COOF, because they were in worst of Australia.
They were.
And that probably meant the project had to just get stalled, and who knows what that's done to the overall quality of the game.
Yeah, I believe they're also partly relying on grants from Entertainment Melbourne. And I think a lot of that stuff dried up when the coup happened.
So we'll have to see. When it gets to this point, you got to be carry a healthy bit of skepticism.
Yeah. But it's still coming, and it's looking good.
I'm hopeful, but as time has
Hopeful.
worn on, I have developed skepticism.
Yeah. All right. What else did they announce that was actually worth talking about?
I think we just got the big announcement left, unless there was anything that just didn't make it into the clips.
Let me quickly check, but I don't think there really was. There was a whole announcement, a list of stuff that's coming to Game Pass. There's the fact that Grounded is coming, going to hit its 1.0, which is good because I really actually like Grounded. No, I think. Oh, unless you really want to talk about Fallout 76 content.
No.
No. So, yeah, we got our first proper look at Starfield, and so far the result is,
It looks clunky.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's on the Creation Engine.
Like, the Skyrim, if it's in the Creation Engine, and this is what the Creation Engine does with guns, they never ever need to make a Creation Engine shooter, ever. It looks bad with how clunky it is.
Well, you'd think they would have learned that with Fallout, but nope.
Bethesda's track record lately, plus just how clunky this trailer looked, has made me lose all hope for this game.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't completely lose hope for it. I mean, I went in fully expecting clunky Bethesda-ness, and that's exactly what I got.
I didn't expect it to look quite this clunk, because it's been a decade since Skyrim.
You've skipped Fallout 4 then.
They've never made a game that wasn't clunky. Like, it would be more surprising if it actually looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether or not it's playable, you have to accept clunkiness from the outset when it comes to Bethesda, because they're never going to make a game that's not clunky. They're just making tool sets, ultimately. Customizing their previous tool set would be more accurate.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it was that makes me feel that way about this in particular, but something about it when watching the gameplay trailer just felt even more off than normal.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a hard feeling to describe because I'm describing an impression and a general feeling type impression, but it just didn't. It did the opposite of catch me and turn me off. And I'm aware of what Bethesda is. I know what their games are like. I played a ton of them.
It's got a bit of a Mass Effect 1 action combat vibe to it.
Yeah, which isn't in itself bad.
Yes, it is. The action portions of Mass Effect were very obviously clunky. They're very obviously stilted, and people tried to do something that they had no idea how to do.
Could be worse, I suppose. They could have copied the vehicle sections over.
Ugh, we don't know they haven't.
We do not.
The thing that Todd the Liar said that caught my interest the most is that they have apparently, well, this is intentionality rather than evidence, because we haven't seen enough yet. They're not opting to do the same sort of generic dogfighting crap that you see in every one of these things. Instead, they said that they were looking to MechWarrior for their combat pacing.
Okay, I like that idea.
Because they feel like the ship combat shouldn't all be about nimble dogfighting. It should be about, like, you've got this enormous ship and you should be more interested in regulating the power. Because, that's how it works in MechWarrior, a very, very deliberate pace of combat.
Yeah,
you still have to do things correctly and in a timely fashion, but you're moving on a different sort of scale than you do in a dogfighter.
Got to keep track of your heat, otherwise you explode. We've got they've bought the colony system force from Fallout 4. Looks a bit more modular than the Fallout 4 one, but yeah, it could go either way on that. They've also seemed to have applied it to spaceships. You can build your own spaceship, which did get people excited, actually. So, I was kind of half sold on Starfield. I'm still only half sold. Like, I saw some things that were interesting, I saw some things that were worrying, and ultimately it sent me nowhere. But the way it usually goes with Bethesda games is you're going to get an interesting world to explore, but you're going to have clunky mechanics and a really dodgy story.
Yeah, it's just going to be, mass procedural generated things. Like I'm expecting something which is like Skyrim but feels even emptier, more or less.
Well, the boast of having 1,000 different planets you can explore.
Yeah, 1,000 different procedurally generated planets.
Yeah, on those planets is probably going to be one thing each that you can find, except for maybe like 3 or 4 planets where the story happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who just like to go wander around and see what they can see, but that only works if they are occasionally, with a certain amount of regularity, going to run into something interesting.
Yeah, like a lot of Bethesda worlds up until this point, they haven't been super big, but they've been chock full of stuff.
Yeah, the generation process is cheap and easy. The issue is making it worth going to, and because of the nature of space, in order to feel like it's not a sort of theme park gag. There needs to be a certain amount of boring, but it needs to be precisely the right amount of nothing in between the something. Otherwise, because I mean, if there's not enough nothing, then the somethings are just going to feel like theme park rides, and if there's too much nothing, then people won't stay interested.
My big concern with having the 1,000 planets is, as people are calling it, No Man's Skyrim, is you cross the nothing and you find nothing.
There's also No Man's Skyrim has the No Man's Sky little mining tool thing. It looked like in one of the clips I saw.
Yeah, it did. You got a little tool.
Ultimately, you need to be able to space mine space rocks.
Yes, in space.
Yeah, it was a little handheld thing pointed at the rock, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm getting some vibes.
Yeah, you weren't the only one to get those. So No Man's Skyrim is a trending title for that now. I saw one YouTuber who's made a long spiel about it because he wasn't happy about it, and I haven't watched it yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion that his reasoning for not calling it No Man's Skyrim is going to be completely off base.
I think most people are forgetting, though, that Skyrim is a terrible game. That just happens to be very engaging in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So just because it looks terrible doesn't mean that people aren't still going to dump hundreds of hours into it.
Yeah, and thankfully, the Bethesda has actually realised that the strength of their games lies in their modders. Because that's where you get the really good stories and the really fun tools.
We'll see how long it lasts and whether their new corporate types in charge at Microsoft will be able to just keep their sticky fingers out and let things play out naturally.
They've tried it a few times, and ultimately the compromise has been Creation Shop, which there is, like, for most mod managers, the moment you install them, they just disable the Creation Shop so you don't even see it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you can sort of see how easy it is to not quite do it right, because Skyrim became a phenomenon, and there was no reason other than the fact that they dropped the ball that Fallout 4 couldn't have been a phenomenon of similar size, and it just wasn't. It straight up wasn't. It didn't have the chops that it needed for that. And so now we're waiting to see which side of the line Starfield will fall down on, because people are still going to play it and they're still going to dump a huge amount of time into it, but will they dump Skyrim time into it, or will they dump Fallout 4 time into it?
Yeah. Fallout 4 had a lot going for it. Its writing was not among them, though.
It didn't have enough going for it, though. Like, the balance was not quite right to keep people interested.
Yeah.
It didn't keep people interested indefinitely.
Was all over the place.
It was leaning too hard on the cleverness of its own creator.
Yes.
Whereas Skyrim left the right amount of room for other people to be clever with it, which is really what it needed. Fallout 4 tried to do too much on its own, and they're just not good at it. Bethesda they're not good at making video games. They are decent at making sandboxes, but they're bad at making video games.
Yeah. But we'll see. Hopefully it falls on the Skyrim area, where you've got a nice big empty area and people will just fill it with mods.
Yeah, because even if it's bad like Skyrim, the fans can fix that.
The fans will fix it. They did with Skyrim, they did with Fallout 4.
Just don't pretend like it's something that you did, Todd.
Yeah, you didn't do it, Todd. I mean, Oblivion became a roaring success because of nothing Bethesda did, honestly. Bethesda did the horse armor. Well, okay, no, that's to be fair, they did the Shivering Isles as well. They can have that.
Ain't nobody
Yeah.
do that stuff no more.
No.
Remember when you could just buy a full Vigi game and then maybe occasional expansion packs, and that was it? Remember when Horse Armor was mocked?
Yeah. Horse armor by the modern standards
fair-
is very generous, actually.
To be fair, it's not like, oh, well, that was the only way it was done back then, because remember, Street Fighter is still a thing.
Yeah.
The multi re-releases of the same game was a thing. Was slightly tweaked.
Street Fighter
things.
EX plus Alpha 2 or whatever.
We're looking at you, Monster Hunter. Basically everything Capcom, honestly. Yeah, that was Capcom's jam.
Yep.
And the Street Fighter team has not learned any different.
Yeah.
Except that now they are trying to hello fellow kids.
Hello, fellow kidsing all over the place. Please stop.
At least Devil May Cry team has had a consistent history with Capcom. Release main game. Release the Virgil edition.
Yes.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Both are complete.
Make good game.
Make finished game.
Finished game.
That's all I want from people these days. I would be so much more hyped.
Your
for
standards
Rainbow.
have dropped.
That should not be such a high bar, but it is.
Yeah, it's like I don't even care if the video games are good anymore. I just want them to be done.
Actually finished. Have the full
Just-
story in the game.
Just sell me a video game where I can buy it and then play it and it be a full finished video game. That's all I want.
Preferably a game that someone in quality testing has actually looked at some point. You know, fix some of them bugs.
Yeah, like, do us a solid. Just finish the video game.
Finish the game.
Just we'll take it from there.
More the point, I'd be happy if they'd take some of the money that they put into marketing and put that into, finishing the game.
Yeah. Well, they need time more than they need money. They try to rush these things out for release windows to please shareholders because video games are such a big investment now. Money is actually a problem in that they cost so much to make now.
And yeah, but half of that is marketing.
Yeah, and you need to... That money is what's making them have to rush these things out. The fact that their things are so expensive nowadays. These things are so expensive to make. The problem is they aren't patient, and shareholders are not patient, and games do not have enough time in the oven. So they come out either burnt or still gooey.
Yeah, and not in a good gooey way. Like chocolate cake. But anyway, I think that was honestly about it for the Microsoft, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think. I assume you're the one that watched it.
Yeah, I'm just digging through and seeing if there was anything I actually remembered that was worth talking about. No, I think that was it. Yeah, again, it was another one of these rather dry presses that... Oh, there is one little nugget about Starfield, which proves that, yes, Bethesda does learn. Starfield will have a silent protagonist.
Okay, good. So it's going the Skyrim model.
It's going the Skyrim model,
the Elder Scrolls model rather than the Fallout model.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest things that really upset about people with Fallout 4 is because the Soul Survivor wasn't their Soul Survivor. It was just the Soul Survivor.
I didn't play it, so did they actually have him talk?
Yes, constantly.
Gross.
And it would give you a few options as to how your character respond, but because it was all voice acted, it was very limited as to how many options they could give you. So yeah, let's just not. All right.
Wasn't there like a version of Fallout 3, like a setting you could put it on where you just got completely insane things for speech options?
Yes. No, it wasn't in 3, it was in New Vegas.
I consider them to be basically...
They're basically the same.
A game and its evil twin. You can choose which is which.
Yeah. Like as part of the rest of this Microsoft stuff, we got Grounded, Cocoon by the guy who made Limbo, which is a very strange game, but it looks like you're playing as a moth. A rather weird trailer for Sea of Thieves. I have no idea what was going on in that. What else? Oh yeah, Diablo 4 was announced, or rather the Necromancer was announced for it.
Yeah, but it's never going to get out from under the gravity of Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
I mean, they've just got so many. They've got so many different things coming out. They've got the Dragonflight thing coming out. They've got Diablo 4 coming out. They've got Overwatch 2 coming out. But the elephant in the room has completely occluded all of that.
Mm-hmm. They're putting a bunch of Riot Games stuff onto the Game Pass, and to actually get people to use it, in most of the cases you'll have a bulk of the stuff already unlocked.
You mean it's going to be sort of like a video game?
Yeah, like League of Legends, you're going to have all the champions unlocked right from the get-go. Things like that.
This whole parting out a game into tiny little fragments thing, I think, is a trend that I would like to see come to an end.
Yes. And the final one being this weird thing by the Rick and Morty guys. I don't like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, like Rick and Morty is a meme for a reason.
Yeah, it's entirely way too self-satisfied.
Its head is so far up its own rectum that there appears to be some sort of spatial collapse taking place, which has got to have an uncomfortable surgery required to correct it.
Never mind that its fan base, of all the quote fan bases unquote that I see around the internet, the Rick and Morty fan base is the one that puts the worst taste in my mouth.
Oh yeah,
well that's why they're a meme.
That's widely agreed. Nobody likes the Rick and Morty fan base.
They are all autistically insane and think they're all super geniuses and are never wrong about anything. Yeah, and not like the standard way that people tend to be self-biasing. No. These people genuinely think they're just the smartest people on the planet.
That's basically the fan base of any story which is basically dime store nihilism ends up with a fan base like that.
Yeah. And also, physics joke. That's the Rick and Morty joke.
Yeah, Big Bang Theory had those too.
They weren't physics jokes. They were like jokes that a Hollywood producer thinks are jokes about physics.
Yes. So, all right, let's pack up, shall we?
Alrighty.
Yeah, I shotgunned a whole bunch of the miscellaneous announcements. Nothing else is really worth mentioning.
Yep.
Although a whole bunch of stuff from Sony is finally coming to PC.
Yay! That's the big thing.
The Final Fantasy remake stuff is going to start making its way over. And they announced a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't have it all in front of me.
The people still fighting the console war on Suicide Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because apparently there are still people like that.
Yeah, I thought that whole mindset kind of died out a while ago, but nope.
No, it's been... There will always be kids, and the console war is just great for that kiddie mindset.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is the games, and if you want the games, you go play PC.
Yeah, because you can't buy a PS5 anyway.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's like, how could you be a console warrior unless you're just a partisan because you happen to get beyond incredibly lucky and found one? Because right now, I don't know anybody that has a PS5 or an Xbone.
I do. My brother's actually got one, apparently. He never uses it.
Well, what would you do with it?
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can do on the PS5 except for Demon's Souls, that you can't do on a PS4.
Yeah, that's a remake of a PS3 game.
Yes.
I hardly even use my PS4 anymore for anything other than watching Blu-ray. Like, it's just not. They don't release the killer apps on the consoles no more. There's not enough money in it. It's not reliable enough as a market anymore to accomplish what you want to do. And we don't have the sort of huge amount of time and hunger to play, first party AAAs that would make me go resubscribe to PS Plus and go through that library.
And Monster Hunter's currently on the Switch.
Yeah, so long as they're in the Switch generation of that, then I'm going to be playing it there.
Yeah,
And
if
they're making simul release with PC, I think it looks like, if their latest release is to be released.
if the price of graphics cards does drop, because I hear Bitcoin is absolutely crashing now. I have not dared log into my crypto wallet because it would just be depressing.
Yeah, don't do that.
I've written off. Written off the money I put in there as an experiment ages ago.
Yeah, that money's gone.
Well, I mean, it was an experiment. I mean, every aspect of the economy was crumbling. It's just a question of which one would crumble the fastest.
Yeah.
But,
although I admit,
I
am still getting a really dark joy out of watching the NFT space burn.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can happen to a nicer bunch of dweebs.
Yeah,
but they are the reason crypto is crashing as hard as it is. It might have been going down, but they're the ones that put the nitro in the tank.
Yeah, but I hear Bitcoin has dropped down to like 20,000 a piece or something, which is pretty dismal. But as that comes down, so too will the price of graphics cards. And if the price of graphics cards goes back to what they were once upon a time, back when they were being bought to do graphics, then the console's suddenly no longer relevant for me because everything is cross-platform now.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for the console market to exist will be to push forward gamepad development.
Yeah. But there's really no reason that couldn't jump over to the PC market either.
Yeah, once the people manufacturing them realise what people are actually using them for.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, Ari, what's your review after some water has gone under the bridge on using the new DualShock with the PC games?
So, it is... I have bigger hands than most people, so I like it a lot better for just sitting in your hand comfort. Feels really good for me. For people with smaller hands, they'll probably like the DualShock 5 better. Response time feels a little bit slower after spending some time with it than the DualShock 4, because the triggers take longer to fully depress. But it's not enough that in Final Fantasy XIV, it can't be compensated for. And just push the button faster. And but the triggers do feel really good is the side effect. So unless you need microseconds, you're not going to notice it. Let's see. The haptics actually are fairly good in the thing. The micro rumbles everywhere don't feel as off-putting as I was worried they would, and they just feel pretty decent in general. And to let you know something's going on, it's another level of feedback that feels good with it. And the sticks feel tighter than the DualShock 5 for every single DualSense 5 that I've had. They don't feel like they're gonna get stuck to one side as much or turn as easy. You have to put a little bit more pressure on them, which in general, like, I rate as a good thing. Because the DualShock 4 has the problem where you blow on the sticks and you can turn your character right.
Yeah, they don't have very much resistance at all.
So there's a little bit here. Not a lot, but in comparison to the DualShock 4, it's a significant tightening of the sticks, which feels really good.
Yeah, but most of the sticks on controllers I've used feel a little bit too loose. I think that the Switch Pro controller is even looser.
My Pro controller doesn't have the loose stick problem. It does.
When I say loose sticks, I mean that I feel like they're fractionally slipperier than my DualShock 4. But my DualShock 4 also hasn't seen as much abuse as yours will have, because I didn't play fighters. So
yeah, I play all my games with pad if I can help it. I don't. I on PC I try to avoid mouse and keyboard because I like to recline in my chair when I play games. So I'll use a pad as much as I can, and I'll even play shooters with a pad. Suboptimal, whatever, but it's just more comfortable. I'm not a sweaty teenager anymore, so it's less important to me to be super optimal. So I just have more. It's just kind of more comfortable for me to lean back and play with a pad.
Yeah, I do it for some things, but not for MMOs. Not for anything that requires me to have other inputs.
Yeah, for 14, it's just fine. Double tapping's a bit harder with it, but going the alternative method of reaching the second bar above your main bar is to press down the side you want the second bar activated for, and then press down the other trigger while keeping the first one held, and that'll move the selection up instead of switching it to the other main bar, as long as you keep the first trigger held down. So it's much better for that style of control, so I find myself doing that more instead of double tapping, like I did on the DualShock, or the DualShock 4, that is. But it works fine for Final Fantasy. The face buttons feel easier to press, but I think my only complaint is the face buttons are a little too close to the controller itself for my liking, but that's a nitpick. I just would like them to be a little more popped out.
Like the Pro controller depth.
Yeah.
The Switch one.
Yeah, they're about the same as the DualShock 4 in comparison, but because the controller is so much bigger and the slightly different shape, it makes them feel closer.
I've always felt that Sony controllers, though, the buttons squish over time. Like, the depth seems to decrease. That's just an impression I've got. It might not be true, but it feels like it to me. I had the same impression of the 64 controller as well. Or the A and B buttons. They seem to squish down a lot.
Yeah. It's possible. I'm not denying it. So yeah, that's a thing. And yeah, I generally enjoy it. It is my current preferred controller for playing most of the games. If I was getting into really sweaty play in Final Fantasy XIV, the seconds I could save on double tapping with a DualShock 4 might be better, but it just wouldn't be as comfortable.
Right, that digression aside.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Right.
All right, folks. Email topic of the week. Did you see anything in these pressers from both weeks that caught your eye? Because we had a stretch.
That gives you any hope whatsoever for the future of the games industry.
Yep. Because we ain't seen a whole lot. So yeah. That's that. All right, closing comments, and we'll get out of here.
I'm really looking forward to Monster Hunter.
I want my lungs to behave properly, and I've been traumatized by vampire dragons.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.